What is up? I am just getting in. A lot of stuff has been going on. I'll see we got Dale Jr. driving the number 3 late model. Throwback to the old Sundrop car he used to drive. Of course, RCR and probably like the worst kept secret or worst, I guess secret announcement of all time. Austin Hill is making his Cup debut. He was not announced as the driver of the number 8 for next year or for 2024. So I thought that was interesting. So we still don't know who is going to go in that 8 car. And I don't know everything about that. I just went sideways for RCR there. A bunch of other racing news broke, and then pretty much everybody figured out that Austin Hill was going to make his series debut anyway because the lineup came up. So yeah, everything about and everybody knew it was Austin Hill well before that. So everything about that announcement did not line up well for RCR, but just a lot of stuff going on. Whatever you guys want to talk about. Kevin S., what's up, man? Appreciate the love there. Donald Camp, what's going on, man? So whatever you guys want to talk about, we will definitely get to it. What are your thoughts on Brad K calling for more penalties? I think if you, Epileptic Bumblebee asked that, I think if you look at it from Brad Keselowski's perspective, I think it is very reasonable to understand why he wants more penalties or harsher penalties, because he got essentially hit with a very, very strong penalty for something that probably in his mind he didn't feel was necessarily a rules violation so much as it was a misunderstanding. So I think he looks at the, let's just call it like it is. He looks at the 23-11 penalties and he's like, well, they only lost really like 40 points, right? At the end of the day, they only lost about 40 or 50 points, whereas Brad Keselowski lost 100 points. Which totally derailed his season. Not that he's had a great season anyway, but it really derailed it, got it off to a bad start to begin with. So I think from his perspective, you would have to say 100%, you got to see where he's coming from, right? He feels like he got the book thrown at him, and he feels like these other drivers have gotten off easily. Even though Denny Hamlin lost the win, Denny Hamlin already had a win. Denny Hamlin's already in the playoffs, and he only lost 50 points and 10 playoff points. Well, I mean, that's not really going to hurt him in the grand scheme of things. And Kyle Busch, the same thing. He's already locked in the playoffs, so the penalty didn't necessarily really hurt him. And that's why I say I do agree with Brad Keselowski to an extent. It shouldn't matter if you get caught during the race, before the race, or after the race. The penalty should be the same. In this case, if you consider both of them a level 2 penalty, 100 points and 10 playoff points should be the penalty for everybody, regardless of when you get caught. But apparently, a long time ago, it was negotiated that those penalties would be done like that. So I don't know. Maybe it's time to re-look at those penalties. But in this situation, you agree with Brad too. Yeah, I would agree with Brad. I think it should be one penalty across the board for everybody, no matter when you get caught. If it's a level 2, you get 100 points, blah, 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 so on and so forth. I think so for sure. He would definitely, I would agree with him there. Mala, what's up, man? David Griffith, I think Harvick will keep his hit list from Indy. I think it's growing. I don't know if he's going to do anything about it, but it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't make the playoffs and he feels that any of those guys wronged him. He definitely might take a swipe at him, but it's hard to say. What happened to 23-11? I don't know. They've been up and down all year, so I don't know. 23-11 either runs really good or they don't, and that would be my concern, I guess. If you're Tyler Reddick, RCR is always consistently going to be at least 15th, and when RCR is good, they're really good. They're like top 5. Tyler Reddick could have won 3 or 4 races this year. He's already won 2. But even when they have bad races, they hang around 15th. When 23-11 has a bad race, they run like really bad. So when they're fast, they're really fast, right? They're top 2 or 3 in speed when they're really fast, but they have a bigger gap when they're off, it seems like. So they're a little more inconsistent. But Tyler Reddick saw something over there that he liked, so I guess he is going to go Well, not guess. He is going to go that direction in 2024. What about the Kyle Larson wreck? He hit a ton. Good Lord, Chris R. Yeah, for sure. So they said there was no mechanical issue with the brakes there, Chris R. So it looks like probably the brake fluid got really hot and got to a boiling temperature. And when it cooled back down, he had brake pedal again. That would be my best guess as to what happened with that situation. But a lot of people are saying it was driver error or this or that. I don't know. I wasn't driving the car, but my best guess is Kyle Larson over the radio said he didn't have no brakes. So it would make sense that the temperature got too hot. The sensor probably wasn't reading it from a previous wreck that he had gotten in. So that would be my best guess. The brake fluid boiled and he didn't have any brakes and it went all the way to the floor. And well, it was a rough lick. Luckily, everybody was okay in that one. Do you think this is a crazy year in NASCAR, Douglas Serrano? I think this is a crazy year in NASCAR. I think this is a crazy year in motorsports. If you look at IndyCar, some of the contract stuff that's going over there with Alex Palou, and then today Alpine, I think is how you pronounce it. Alpine and F1 had almost an exact same situation as the Alex Palou incident over there in F1. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that guy's name, but it is an F1 driver, and I'll leave it at that. Oh, never mind. 2311, not 2311 JGR, Donald Camp. I don't know what's going on at JGR. I don't know. I think they were trying to soften an edge on that nose, according to my engineer friend. That's what he told me about it. So I think they were trying to soften an edge with that tape, and they got caught in 4K, and NASCAR didn't like it, and they hit them with a penalty. But Brad Keselowski doesn't think the penalty was fair. So, fair or not fair, I agree that there should be one penalty no matter when you get caught. If they're both L2s, if they were both deemed L2s, it should be both the same penalty. You know, Brad Keselowski lost 100 points. I think JGR should have lost 100 points too if they were both deemed L2 penalties. Enough with Indy, no matter the configuration. X-Dude, I wouldn't mind seeing them run at IRP. Can't talk. Well, I wouldn't mind seeing them run at IRP. But Indianapolis is an amazing speedway. So I don't know the tradition there. Maybe if they could get a rotation of every third year, they run one configuration or the other. Like one year they would run IRP, 1 year they would run the Indianapolis Oval, and 1 year they would run the Indianapolis Road Course. I think that would be cool. I think it's dreaming big because I don't think it'll ever happen, but I'd love to see it. Let's see. Angus 420, hello Baloney, how's your night? I wonder if Kyle Larson blacked out from heat in the car. That's another possible scenario. Maybe he got too hot and passed out. I don't know. But all I know is he did come over the radio and say he didn't have a brake pedal. So at least for that part, he was awake. There's no telling, but it was definitely a strange situation. The only person that really knows is Kyle Larson, and hopefully at some point he will come out and give a statement on it. So far, he has not. I believe Bumblebee, I've been honestly impressed with how well Ty Gibbs has done in his 2 cup races so far, and I'm not on the fence about him anymore. He's going to be a star. He's definitely done really good in his first 2 starts. He's sitting in a pretty decent car, so that definitely helps. But we've seen a lot of guys that have done a lot in the Xfinity Series and have come over to Cup and not done a whole lot with it. He has not had that problem for sure. I don't know if he'll be a superstar, but he has definitely had 2 good starts. And the amazing thing about it is that has not even been a story because of all the other drama that's been going on in the Cup Series. Nobody's really even talking all that much about Ty Gibbs, but he's definitely a wheelman. And I will say, also aside from that, he has driven a lot cleaner in the Xfinity Series, and he has conducted himself a lot more maturely, or whatever you want to say. So I think he's really worked on a lot aside from driving. I think he's trying to mature as a driver too, which is good. It's good to see him work on that because, like I said, he was always pretty well composed when he was running late models and stuff like that. So that actually did kind of surprise me that he went off script there, so to say. But it looks like he's back on script now, and he's going to do what he needs to do to get sponsors going forward. The All-Star needs to be at IRP. That would be cool, Mark Barnum. I would love to see a rotation of the All-Star race going just to a bunch of. That way different cities get to experience it. It shouldn't always be in Charlotte or always be in Texas. Like when they moved it from Charlotte, I thought that was the point. They were going to rotate it around. So I was a little bit disappointed on that. What are your thoughts on Corey LaJoie? I think Corey LaJoie is a great driver. I would love to see him or Spire. I would just love to see Spire improve the car to a point where he can drive it consistently every week. I think we saw what he can do when he's in basically even equipment on these plate or super speedways or whatever like that. I think you can see the driver there. The talent is definitely there. If you ask anybody in the late model community that raced against him, Corey LaJoie can definitely drive. So it is what it is. Mala said 4K. Yeah, they were definitely caught in 4K. And to be fair, I think somebody told on Joe Gibbs too. I don't think that's anything NASCAR would normally look for. So I think somebody definitely told on him. To be totally fair about that, I don't think that was something the NASCAR officials were necessarily looking for. I think they got tipped off there for sure. And just probably maybe a disgruntled RCR guy knew something and told on them because they're mad at Toyota. So let's start that rumor. Let's see. Cup to IRP would be nice. I agree with that. Epileptic Bumblebee for sure. Rich L, what's up, man? Angus 420, do stage 1 on the oval, stage 2. And oh man, there we go. Maybe not different stages like that, but they could do a weekend like that, right? David Land has proposed that on Saturday you run the oval and on Sunday you run the road course or vice versa. So credit to David Land there, but he definitely said that. And, make it a 3-day event. On Friday, you run IRP. That would be taxing on the teams, to say the very least, but it would be cool as a fan. I bet he'll get at least one championship in his career, said Mala. Ty Gibbs probably is what you're talking about. Yeah, Ty Gibbs, he might, man. He's sitting in the best equipment. It's just hard to say until you get a full season of him, but he is definitely with his first few races. He has done well. He's kept his nose clean. He hasn't made the news, which is pretty good if you're a rookie, in my opinion. So he's handled himself well, and I think especially coming into a car he's never touched, working with a team he's never really worked with. So I think he's got a lot going on, and the fact that he's coming there and just taking to the car pretty well, that is pretty impressive. Kevin Harvick snapping, wrecking someone after all the stuff he does and goes through is probably terrifying. If he snaps even more, making something insane and everything breaking loose, that's just a fact. Moulton said, yeah, I mean, Kevin Harvick, he came into the sport and he had a temper, and he's definitely learned how to control it. But when you see it boil over, I guess from where he's been holding it in for so long, when he loses it now, he really loses it. So if he really lost it like that in a race car, it definitely could be very interesting, to say the least. I agree with you, Moulton. Epileptic Bumblebee, last one. It don't have to be the last one. You can talk all you want to. Any thoughts on Austin Hill and the RCR 33 this weekend? Could it lead to a third car for Childress next year? That is the question, right? Are they going to run 3 cars, and would they put Tyler Reddick in the car that doesn't have a charter? Because obviously I don't think they would buy a charter just for 1 year, just to be in that situation. I think right now you have to lean toward Austin Hill as probably their favorite to put in that car. They would probably have to line up some type of, or one of their favorites at least. They'd have to line up some sponsorship and some things like that. But I think there's some other guys they could definitely look at. I think you could look at a Josh Berry. I mean, if there's several guys you could look at, you're just going to have to see how the silly season deal plays out. But I think sponsorship would be the big thing to line up there. But I could see them running 3 cars, and I think they would probably still keep Tyler Reddick in the 8 car as long as everything was going good there. Probably during race weekends, though, he would be sort of like off to himself by himself. They wouldn't want him to hear too much about what's going on, so he'd probably be sent to his motorhome while they were doing all the tear down and stuff like that. But he would still give feedback on the car, and I think he would understand that they just don't want him to take information over to 2311. So it's going to be an interesting situation either way. But I could definitely see a 3-car team if that's the option they wanted to go, if they could get the sponsorship and things like that lined up. I could also see sort of like what Trackhouse is doing, just run an extra car, period. But who knows? It's just a lot of stuff up in the air. Like Project 91 is what I meant. Like they could just run a guy for, maybe 6 or 7, maybe 8. I think what's the rookie cutoff? I think they can run him 6 races before he has to declare to be a rookie. So you might see him run 6 races next year if they don't do the full deal. But if they do the full deal, he would definitely be running for Rookie of the Year, I would imagine. Let's see. The All-Star race should be a worldwide rotation to go to tracks everywhere every year. Yeah, that would be really cool. Angus 420 said that. Yeah, I would like to see some tracks that NASCAR doesn't visit at all be for the All-Star race, like, and also for the Busch Clash, since they're doing that with the Busch Clash now. I would love to see them go to some really exotic places, because they're both exhibition races, so you wouldn't be forced to go there. So you could go anywhere you wanted to, and if a team really had a problem with the expenditures or the cost of it, yeah, for sure. Like, you wouldn't have to go, so you wouldn't feel obligated to go because of points. So they could really go to some unique places and do some neat stuff with that. So I think that would be a cool deal. Imagine the All-Star race at the Nürburgring. That would be really cool for sure. Epileptic Bumblebee said that. Can't talk today, guys. I apologize. Said that, yeah, the Nürburgring would be awesome. I remember playing that on Forza, and I never mastered it. I always wrecked. I always got too aggressive. I was so bad at that track. I couldn't imagine NASCARs being on there, or NASCAR stock cars being on there. That would be something else, but I would love to see it. Let's see. James Hankin with a shot at Joey Logano. Apparently not very happy with Joey Logano's move. I don't know. He went for it like a lot of other people. He's getting singled out for what he did, but at least 7 or 8 other guys did the same thing. He was just more obvious because he dipped down low when he was still on the straightaway. But I think everybody, not everybody, but several people had the same idea Logano did. A lot of people trying to win from 15th. It didn't work out well, but Joey Logano definitely not loved by a lot of fans. So whenever he does something, that is definitely not going to be received well. We can say that for sure. Poor Brett Moffitt, of course. Oh, that's another story I didn't touch on. Thanks for that, Moulton. Kicked out of Our Motorsports because of the sponsor. Man, he's such an underrated wheelman. I agree, and I kind of wonder what's going on with Brett Moffitt. He's such a good driver. He can't get a sponsor. I just don't know what's going on with that, because he can get the job done. He's sort of like Brett Moffitt, Kaz Gralla, Parker Kligerman, just a ton of guys like that are really, really, really good race car drivers and cannot get a sponsor to bite and support them, to even get them in the Xfinity Series or the trucks full time. I don't understand, because they definitely get the job done every time they sit in a race car. It's perplexing, and I don't know the reason behind it. I know people that have met Brett Moffitt, and they say he's a really nice guy. So some people had speculated that maybe he's got like a abrasive personality and people don't get along with him. I don't see that being the issue from the people that have met him. So who knows? It's just a bad situation. But yeah, they let him go after expanding to 3 teams. They've let arguably their best driver go. So definitely a bizarre situation there, to say the least. Douglas Serrano, happy for Austin Hill making his Cup debut. I was thinking about that earlier this year. So the cool thing about Austin Hill is he sort of flew under the radar, even to me. Like when I saw Austin Hill, I was like, he's all right. There's nothing special. But he went in that truck. He did really well. And then when he got out of that truck, the people that replaced him didn't do as well. And so you kind of have to start taking notice of him. Then he gets in this Xfinity car, and you saw him and Shelton Creed battling it out in the truck series, right? Well, now they're both in basically the same Xfinity cars, and you consistently see Austin Hill outrunning Sheldon Creed, who is no slouch. I mean, this is not a shot at Sheldon Creed, but you see Austin Hill consistently outrunning them, and you gotta start paying attention to the guy, right? So Austin Hill would definitely, if they can get the sponsorship and stuff like that lined up, he could be another guy that RCR builds around. Now that they've lost out on Tyler Reddick, clearly they wanted to build around Tyler Reddick. And from RCR's perspective, a lot of people said RCR didn't handle that very well, and it's their fault that he left. But either way, this is another guy you can replace him with. And hopefully, if it was on them, why Tyler Reddick left, then possibly this is the next guy to plug in there, and you get it done with him. Maybe sign him to a 6-year contract just off jump to get him locked in. But yeah, it is what it is. I didn't have a problem with Tyler Reddick necessarily leaving. Like I said, the way he left, where he just didn't tell anybody and blindsided them, I would have handled it differently. But it's Tyler Reddick's life. He can do what he wants to do. Get that money, secure that bag. Let's see. OJ and Toothpaste 2. Joey Logano did a move on Sunday that if someone did it to him and he was involved in that wreck, he would be whining and crying about it. That's why I can't stand him. So yeah, Joey Logano, I think he's got sort of like PTSD from when he came into the Cup Series as a young driver. and a lot of guys used him up because he was 18 and he was racing against grown men. So I think he's got some aggression. I think at some point, and he was aggressive anyway. Okay, let's just get that out of the way, even in late models and stuff like that. But I think he took that aggressiveness to another level because he felt like he was getting pushed around by grown men who, let's be honest, were trying to bully him. But that was part of the, and it's still to an extent part of the culture. You use everything you can to get an advantage on competitors, and I think at some point Joey Logano just snapped and he went to the other side of the aggressiveness. He's like, I'm not going to be bullied. I'm going to be the bully now. He's not going to let anybody push him around, whether it's his fault or their fault. He's always going to think it's their fault and stand up for himself in his mind. So. That's Joey Logano's perspective, but definitely a lot of fans that rubs them the wrong way. So yeah, any update on NASCAR is going to NASCAR t-shirts? X dude said that. Let me see what I can do. Yeah, if I get it going, I will definitely let you guys know. Let me see what I can do about that for sure. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Tell me all 5 of them so I can wreck all 5 of them. Kevin Harvick's response when he told 5 drivers are to blame for the pileup that resulted in him spinning out. Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to – it cost him – once again, it's cost him a chance at making up at least some points. So he's definitely – if it goes into if he does not make the playoffs, I could definitely see him paying some of these guys back for essentially ruining his chance to get into the playoffs. Run Daytona clockwise. That's some EA Sports stuff back in the day. I remember that on a few of the EA games. You could run them clockwise. Angus 420, good comment. We did that on NASCAR Thunder. LOL. Epileptic Bumblebee. She remembers that too. It was on Thunder. Ralph Englehart. Time to move on from these road courses. Starting to push a lot of us older folks away. I thought the Charlotte Roval was okay, but now NASCAR has gone too far with road courses. Yeah, I think it was called Tiburon. Yeah, for sure. The backwards course was called, or the clockwise course was called Tiburon for sure. Yeah, NASCAR has gotten too road course heavy. They could probably take one road course away and insert a different type of track. What you need is a balance of tracks. For the longest time, we had too many cookie cutters. You don't want to, and I love short tracks, but you actually don't want to get too many short tracks in there too. You want a good mix of tracks so that you have an actual champion, and you want an actual championship system and not the chase. I will die on that hill for sure. I cannot stand the chase, and I never probably ever will like it. But NASCAR is stuck with it because that's what Brian France wanted to do, and we know what he was doing on the side when he came up with that idea. So we'll leave it at that. Austin Hill's situation is just Childress testing his options. I agree that M. Martin fan for life said that. I agree. He's definitely probably getting a look at what he's got in the Xfinity Series, what they can do in Cup. That's not a bad idea, and I like it because I think Austin Hill is going to be a really good driver. Or at least has the potential to be a really good driver. Moulton said, I like Austin Hill. So he's on the Austin Hill train as well. He thinks he's underrated. Yeah, for sure. I think, like I said, he just gets overlooked for whatever reason. He's kind of, I guess, a quiet guy. And he gets overlooked. But I think he can definitely get the job done. Don't sleep on Austin Hill. It's going to be really interesting to see what he does at Michigan. Because RCR is sneaky good at Michigan. This is actually one of Austin Dillon's better tracks. So this could be one of those races that Austin Dillon sneaks up and wins because, once every 2 or 3 years, Austin Dillon just has a good car and sneaks up and wins a race. So don't be surprised there. But also, how crazy would it be, if Austin Hill came in there with a good car and won a race? And I don't think he would cut Tyler Reddick any slack, too, because he's trying to prove himself. He's trying to get that ride for 2024. In my opinion, RCR needs to dump Austin Dillon, Ralph Englehart. There's a lot of people that think that. Here's the deal with Austin Dillon. He's a solid driver. He's not going to stack you up 4 or 5 wins in a season. But if you replace him with someone, it's not going to happen because it's Richard Childress' grandson. But if you do replace him, I think Austin Dillon would be the one that steps down. He's going to be the one that makes that call. You have to replace him with someone better than Austin Dillon. And Austin Dillon has made the playoffs several years, more years than he hasn't made the playoffs. So you can't just replace him with anybody. You have to replace him with somebody that potentially would stack you several wins. So although it sounds great in theory to just be like, oh, yes, get rid of Austin Dillon, got to replace him with somebody good. And who who out there could you replace him with that you think would be better at that price tag? Because I'm pretty sure he's taken a bit of a pay cut to run that car, in my opinion. Per Denny Hamlin on door bumper clear. Benjamin Lewis. I am not sure what you're talking about there, Benjamin Lewis, but let me know and I will talk about it. I didn't get a chance to see the door bumper clear with Denny Hamlin. So if there's anything about that you guys want to talk about, let me know. I'll just fly in blind on it and talk about it, but I haven't got a chance to see it. Somebody did tell me that it was interesting. Apparently he was a crew member for TJ Majors, who was the spotter, who was a spotter, was Dale Jr. spotter. I think he's a spotter for Joey Logano now, but he was a crew member on his Goodies Dash race car. Denny Hamlin was back in the day. So it's just weird how racing comes full circle. Everybody does some type of job at some point. That's what I was thinking of. Let's see. Joey went to the dark side, Rich L said. Yeah, I think he had enough and he snapped. Rich L, I thought the first Roval race was incredible. Best NASCAR race I've seen in years. And now I can't stand them. Yeah. I thought the Charlotte Roval was good. I like the Charlotte Roval. The thing about the Charlotte Roval that makes it, to me, better than a lot of road courses is that you can sit in a seat and see the whole track. That's probably the biggest thing that a lot of people don't like about road courses. You sit and you only see a corner. So I think the Charlotte Roval would be one road course you never get rid of because it's such a good experience. You can sit up there and see the entire track. I think that's one thing it's actually got going for it. Where if you get rid of a road course, it wouldn't be the Charlotte Roval, in my opinion. But that's just my 2 cents on the Charlotte Roval. A lot of people hate it. So it is what it is. Joey's about to get Nerf shot. Let's see. I said epileptic bumblebee. Yeah, I think he's upset several people, but we will see what happens because he basically put William Byron in his place, and William Byron has not been the same since. William Byron started off the year like a firecracker, and then he had that dust up with Joey Logano. William Byron has not been the same since. He has not had the same speed. He has not. I don't know. Joey Logano cursed him or something. Joey Logano might be a level 4 wizard, so you might not want to upset Joey Logano because after the run-in with Logano, William Byron has not been the same. So let's start that rumor too. Joey Logano has cursed William Byron. That's why he has not had good luck this section of the season or whatever since they had that tangle in Darlington, I think was where it was at, wasn't it? Riggs from a lap down. Let's talk about that for sure. That's awesome. Riggs from a lap down to a top 10, and Deegan from 22nd to 13th in 2 laps, trucks at IRP. Yeah, that was really good. So I did get to see the very end of that after we got finished practicing and had to meet up with some people in the parking lot to hang out with them because they do fund Craig to race. So after that, we actually went and got something to eat, and we were huddled around our car chief, Dusty Wall's cell phone at the restaurant watching the race over a cell phone. And then we did eventually get to the hotel, which was a disaster because we had it booked. But anyway, get to the point. Anyway, Scott Riggs' son, Lane Riggs, his first Truck Series start. And I don't know what happened in the pits to get him a lap down, but he was actually running pretty good before that. He was about 15th. So we're watching, and, it's on a cell phone, so we can't really see anything. I don't know what happened to him in the pits, but the pit stop was awful. Under caution, he went a lap down in the pits, and I don't know what happened still. But he eventually, it took him a while to get back on the lead lap. But when he got back on the lead lap, that joker took off, and they used a little bit of pit strategy. They stayed out on old tires. But, man, I would have loved to see him on the same strategy as everybody else because Lane Riggs, for those of you who don't know, he is also leading the weekly series late model stock car national championship points right now, too. So this is definitely going to be a season to remember for him. And he's a really cool kid. I've talked with him a few times. Really, really nice guy. He's always like, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. He's a really good kid. They did a good job raising him, Scott. And I don't know Scott's wife's name, but they did a good job raising him, but he's super popular around here because he's kind of a local kid around here. And, you're not going to meet much of a nicer kid. I think he is off at UNC Charlotte getting his education right now, but he's also still racing. So just it's going to be a big year for him because, your first Truck Series race, you're having a great run at the national championship. So Lane Riggs was impressive. And Haley Deegan, she can drive, right? She's a pretty solid race car driver. as long as they don't have problems on pit road or getting the truck through tech, she's actually run pretty good. Now, a lot of people, they're down on her because they think she only got that ride because of who she is, her last name, because she's a girl, whatever, whatever. But she's actually a pretty good race car driver, and she's trying to do it the right way. She's not trying to move up too fast. She's trying to spend her time, learn racecraft and things like that. So it was good to see her get a good finish, because it's been definitely a frustrating season for her. This was supposed to be her breakout year, and it has just gone the exact opposite. It's been a terrible, terrible season for her. So it was good to see her. The last few races, she's actually had a few good results. So hopefully she can turn it around. I think she's going to be a good prospect. How good she'll be, I don't know. I'm not saying she's going to be the next Dale Earnhardt or anything like that, but she's a solid race car driver, and I think she can be good if she continues to put the time and work in, which I'm sure she will. Daytona for Road America was not a good choice. I wish they had kept Road America on the schedule too. But taking away the Daytona July 4th race, that does kind of stink. But the reason they did it was so that they could have a restrictor plate track right before the playoffs. They're trying to maximize drama. Now, obviously, I would have liked to see Daytona keep that race, and then they move one of the Talladega races to right before the playoffs. That would probably be better. For now that you've got Atlanta pretty much as a baby Daytona or Talladega, you could move Atlanta there. But I agree. I like the July 4th Daytona race. And then they were starting to build a July 4th Road America vibe, and now they've ruined that too. So NASCAR gonna NASCAR, right? So it is what it is. Let's see. Are you going to Michigan, Baloney? I will not be making it out to Michigan. We have a race this weekend, so I will be working that. But at some point, I would like to go to Michigan, because that's a pretty important race to go to. Let's see. Gerard Walraven, got your name right today. What's up, everyone? I'm here to drop hot takes and crap on Austin Dillon, and I'm all out of hot takes. I hear you. Yeah, a lot of people do not like Austin Dillon, and that's cool. That's understandable. A lot of people who did like him are starting to not like him because of the reality show. Not that he's doing anything terrible on the reality show, just the reality show is not being well received. It's not well done. Let's see. Benedetto got P11 in the IRP truck race, still learning the basics and controls of the truck series, Douglas Serrano said. He's gone over to Rackley War Racing, and he's done really good over there, because if you remember Josh Berry, the best finish Josh Berry got, and we know Josh Berry's good, right? The best finish Josh Berry got in that truck was 11th. So he is helping them build that program and get it up to speed. So I look for them to keep on improving, probably throughout the season. So yeah, I'm impressed with what Matt DiBenedetto's done. He's shown that he is at least on par with Josh Berry. So hopefully he can keep improving and getting better, and maybe he'll get another shot at Xfinity or possibly Cup once again, because he's definitely young enough to get there or get back there, however you want to look at it. I wish they would get rid of the cautions after stages. That is a good point. Bubber D. Wolf, and just keep racing and award the top 10 as they come across the line. That is a good point, and a lot of people have thrown this out there. Keep the stage racing, but don't throw the caution. It would sort of be like back in the day when you got the halfway point for leading the halfway point prize money. And 5 bonus points maybe for that. I'm old, I can't remember. But I think you got 5 bonus points and some halfway money for doing that. It would sort of be the same thing, because the caution is what's sort of taking some strategy out of these things. Keep the stages. Don't throw the caution. Molten Rage, it would be funny if Austin Hill appears in Michigan in the 33 and destroys both of his RCR teammates in performance and wins, and basically middle finger to Dillon and Reddick. I'm better than you. LOL. Yeah, I don't think he's got like a personality like that, but I think he definitely, when you sit inside that race car, I don't care who you are, you want to outrun everybody, especially your teammates, because you're allegedly sitting in the same equipment, right? So it is what it is. With Dillon, it's the equipment, not the driver. Said Gerard, for sure. Hot takes from Gerard. He is not a Dillon fan. It is what it is. Epileptic Bumblebee, Kyle Busch to the 3. That me personally, that's what I want to see. Just for the sole fact of how many people's heads would explode. I want total chaos. This silly season has been completely insane. So I would absolutely love to see Kyle Busch go to the 3 car, drive for Richard Childress, who got him in the headlock and pounded him on the head a few years ago, probably a decade or more now. But for him to sit in the 3 of Dale Earnhardt, because one of the reasons, let's just be 100% real about it. One of the reasons people hate Austin Dillon is that he is sitting in the 3 car and he's not Dale Earnhardt. Which, guess what? Anybody you put in the 3 car is not going to be Dale Earnhardt. So that's it is what it is. I think other than Dale Jr., Austin Dillon's probably the next best guy you can put in that car, not named Earnhardt. Because he at least is Richard Childress's grandson, right? So, but Kyle Busch, that would be awesome. Because a lot of Earnhardt fans hate Kyle Busch, and a lot of Kyle Busch fans hate the 3 car. So I would love to see it because of the Dale Jr. Kyle Busch wreck, and then of course the 2 drivers were essentially swapped for each other or whatever, or Dale Jr. took his spot, however you want to look at it. But it definitely would be interesting to see Kyle Busch in that 3 car, just to see how people would react to it. It would be such a meltdown. I would be here for it just because it would be funny. Ralph Englehart, and as an RCR fan, I would pull for him. I wouldn't care. Ralph Englehart, NASCAR needs two more half-mile tracks, and as a dirt racer, more dirt tracks, but not in these next gens. Put the fellas in dirt late models or mods, and then we'll see some good racing. And that's another thing that's been floated out there for the All-Star race. Put them in dirt late models and let them race a real dirt race. Good comment, Ralph Englehart. I agree with you. Half-mile tracks, you could get rid of one cookie cutter and one road course, and that would sort of even everything out. I agree with you. And NASCAR needs to adjust these cars to run better on short tracks. Take those spacers out of the bottom so that the ride height can get down there, and that good stuff. Definitely needs to happen. Angus 420 said Busch. I guess he wants Busch in the 3 car. Figured out the way to make road courses better. When they come on, I'll take my wife out for the day. So instead of 2 off weekends, we now have more. There's several drivers that have that opinion too. I remember Ryan Newman always hated road courses and he never got any better at them. Can you please comment on Joey Logano's low T? I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so I can't give out medical advice. But if he does have low T, there are things he can do for that. But I wonder if NASCAR tests for steroids. That would be interesting. What if somebody popped for that? Would it give you an advantage in NASCAR? I don't know. Maybe if you ran out of power steering. Tacoma 2, the Indy road course showed turn 1, 90-degree turn is bad for the sport. These are not Indy cars. What do you think is going to happen at the Chicago race with all the turns being 90-degree turns? Tacoma 2, I've said this numerous times. I'm glad Chicago got a race. I'm glad they got a race back after losing that track that they had. But I'm not a big fan of street races. I don't think they ever really put on a good show. I think they're more of a gimmick. I think you can promote them properly and make them big, and you'll get a good audience, and people can enjoy it. But I don't think the actual racing on the track is ever going to be as good as other racetracks, with some exceptions. There are some street courses that do put on good shows, but I don't think the Chicago road course is going to be one of them, especially if you're going off of the iRacing deal where they did the iRacing there. Even in iRacing, it wasn't much of a race. So that's all I got to go on. That's my hot take on it, but I am glad Chicago got a race. I just wish they would have given them a better race. Tyler let RCR know before the announcement. I was just correcting you. Benjamin Lewis said that. Well, I mean, if he did, they obviously didn't act like he did. So, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't in there. So if he did, he did. Angus 420, Busch to the 3. That would be awesome. Also, did you hear he also decided to take a pay cut to stay with Joe Gibbs? Yeah. So I haven't been able to talk about that just yet. I'm sort of, unless there's like some actual real information on the Kyle Busch thing, I'm kind of burned out talking about it because it just seems like somebody will make a comment and then we're just spinning in circles again. But it is good that he has come out and said he would take a pay cut, so that is definitely a good thing. If you want him to stay at JGR, but it's interesting, and I think everybody on Twitter has had enough of it too. Because I don't know if you saw it recently, they were spamming all these Kyle Busch to whatever. This was deleted by by this website earlier today, and it would just be it's Kyle Busch going to all these random teams. So that was a thing on Twitter for a while yesterday and a little bit today. I think everybody is sort of up to here with the Kyle Busch. Where is he going? I think everybody wants it to be done and over with. None more so probably than Kyle Busch and whoever's going to sign him. Put Earnhardt Jr. in the 3 car. I can't be any worse than Dillon. Ralph Englehart said they tried to get Dale Jr. in the 3 car. He did not want to take it. He said it would be too much pressure, and that's actually why he went to Hendrick. If you watch the Richard Childress, I think it was on the Richard Childress episode of the Dale Jr. Download, I think is when they talked about that. But I remember them talking about it somewhere, I think. So make Texas into a road course, Angus 420. Make Texas into something other than Texas, in my opinion, because that race is typically not exciting. Too many road courses because NASCAR is going to NASCAR. That's right, X-Dude, for sure. Make Texas into a cow pasture. The dirt track behind Texas isn't bad. We work with a guy from Texas, and the dirt track right behind Texas Motor Speedway is pretty fun, they say. NASCAR is as NASCAR does. Angus 420, that's a good one too. I like that. Douglas Serrano, I want NASCAR to race the top 3 series at IRP and IMS. That would be cool. 2 weekends in Indianapolis, for sure. Level 4 wizard, Rich Hill. Yeah, definitely. Let's start that. Joey Logano is a level 4 wizard. He will curse you if you run into him, or he perceives you to run into him. Austin Dillon hasn't won a single race in 2 years, maybe 3. That's true. But if it wasn't such a crazy season with all the wins, he would be like 8th or 10th in points. So he hasn't had a terrible season. He's just like I'm saying, he's not the type of driver for this point system. He's not the type of driver you want. He's just a consistent driver that you look at it at the end of the day and you're like, where did this dude come from? How did he get a top 10? That's Austin Dillon. That's Eric Almirola. They're drivers toward the end of Ryan Newman's career. That was Ryan Newman. He's that type of driver. He's never going to be the guy that stacks a bunch of wins. And in this particular playoff system, his style of driving is almost obsolete. So I'm not going to say he's a bad driver. I'm just saying he's not the driver you want for this type of playoff system or point system. Dillon hasn't been the same since the Daytona wreck. That's true. You can definitely say that. If we can't put Dale Jr. in the 3, then they should put Jeff in there, Jeffrey Earnhardt in the 3. They did for 1 race, and I think they're going to try to work with him some more. I think they definitely saw a positive reaction to that. I think if Jeffrey can get some sponsor stuff lined up, the move, in my opinion, for Jeffrey Earnhardt would be to sign with Dillon Management. Dillon Management is run by the Dillons, and if you get with Dillon Management, I feel like they would work pretty hard to get you in that 3 car. And that would just be an easier path. John Hunter Nemechek has signed with them, so that's why I've speculated John Hunter Nemechek could possibly be one of those guys that fills in the 8 car. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, though. I would love to see Jeffrey Earnhardt in the 3 car, or just at RCR, period, in any series. I love Daytona as the last RS race. It's so fun, intention, and honestly just makes you sense the start of the regular season on Daytona. Yeah, to be the last regular season race, having it be a plate race. It doesn't necessarily need to be Daytona, but it is cool to have the last race to get in just be such a wild card race like that. So I agree with that. They're having a bunch of drama about the street race. If Beetlejuice gets voted out, I can see it not happening. So that is definitely something that I haven't addressed that I probably should have talked about. There is a lot of drama going on, and the Chicago street race might not happen. It's getting very, very political, and you know how guys feel about that. I don't really like to delve into that because it just people are like 50-50, right? Anything I say is going to be taken one way or the other, and I just don't want to rile people up. I'm here to get people excited about NASCAR racing. I'm not here to be CNN or Fox News or anybody like that. I'm not into that. But if I have to delve into that, I will delve into that. But definitely, it is in danger of not happening. And they're making this big deal about it. And if they make this big deal about it and something falls through at the last minute, it's going to be such a disaster, especially because a lot of people didn't want it to happen anyway. So, yeah, for sure. Aaron Armstrong, nice shirt, BB. That's hilarious. Yeah, got the old Austin 316 on. Yeah, I like wrestling. I don't, I don't know what to say about that. But yeah, so let's see. Who's your pick for the last two spots? Gosh, I don't know. I want to say Ryan Blaney is going to get in either way, and I want to say that somebody's going to win and Truex is going to get knocked out. I just had that feeling from the beginning of the season. I hope it's not that way because I like Martin Truex and I want him. I want his last few years to be productive. I want him to go out on not necessarily on top, but I want him to go out where he's still good, sort of like Kurt Busch. I don't want him to stay in there too long. Right now, Kurt Busch is still a winner. He's still winning, so I want these guys to go out with wins. It's kind of tough to watch Jimmy Johnson go out the way he went out. So I don't want to see, and being a Richard Petty fan, that was rough. Pretty much the entire time I watched Richard Petty. I love the car, and that's why I pulled for him. But to see a seven-time champion like that toward the end of his career in the 90s just not be competitive at all, I don't want to see that for any driver. Rodney Collier, Bonsai Joe, that's something he came up with for how Joey Logano was driving. Rodney is a big Joey Logano fan. But Bonsai Joe definitely fits because he went for it there. And Rodney said he likes to see the aggression. First time he's been aggressive in a while this season, he said. So let's see. I would love to see the 43 car in victory lane, said Dalton Riley. Me too. I would love to see that. Paul, do you think they should continue with the road courses at Indy or stick with the oval? Too much change. Yeah. I kind of agree with you, and appreciate the name update there, Paul. By the way, I can say that. But for sure, you don't want to keep changing things, right? Because if you keep changing things, you just never feel like, I don't know. You never feel like you can get into a rhythm. Like sort of part of the cool thing about any sport is you look for certain things to happen at certain times. While we'll always have Daytona as the first race, except for when Riverside was the first race, you look forward to things like that. So, and certain races happening on certain days. Like I wish NASCAR would stick with a schedule for a longer period of time than what they have been doing. So I agree with you there. But hopefully, I don't know. They stick with it. Oh, too much carnage. Oh, okay. Never mind. I completely misread that and I went off on another tangent. Let's see. Oh, where am I think they should go to single file restarts at the Indy Road Course. That's fair enough, at least in the last 10 laps. Mark Barnum with that. Yeah, last 10 laps for sure. I don't know about the entire race, but the last 10 laps for sure, because that would get rid of some of the bonsai moves or some of the kamikaze moves, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. It was 2011. Richard beat up Kyle. LOL. Yeah, that's what it is. So over a decade ago. It seems so recent. Let's see. Joey Logano doesn't have a contract extension yet. Man, they're not going to let Joey Logano go. He's in his prime. I don't think they would let Joey Logano go. He's definitely in his prime. Let's see. Kyle to the 3 would be funny. Harold Olson. Let's see. They need to bring back Rockingham, Dalton Riley. A lot of people want to see Rockingham back. Controversial comment coming in. So I've been to Rockingham a bunch of times. It's a pain in the neck to get in and out of that place. And I don't ever remember it putting on a great race, but I could be wrong. But Rockingham is a track they could bring back, and it would fit the short track deal. So that could be one of the short tracks they bring back if they get rid of one of the other tracks, like a cookie cutter or a road course. I personally would like to see a track like Iowa or IRP added over Rockingham because I think they put on better races. But Rockingham definitely has its fans, and I'm definitely in the minority on that. I know I'm in the minority on that, but I'm just giving my opinion, and I know I'm in the minority. No need to light me up in the comments. I know I'm in the minority on that. So I think a lot of people would love to see Rockingham come back. They should do the All-Star race at Rockingham as a cool old school track. I would actually think that would be a better option for Rockingham because an All-Star race would be super cool. Slinger All-Star race would be cool, said Mark Barnum, for sure. Like, I would love to see those type of races as either the Busch Clash or the All-Star race, because I think it is fun. Austin Dillon's an embarrassment to the three. Look, there's a lot of people that believe that. I think Austin Dillon is a solid race car driver. I think if his last name, and I know what everybody's going to say about this. If his last name wasn't Dillon, if he was just like a regular guy and he was putting up these numbers, he would just sort of be like an Eric Almirola. And I know what you're going to say. If his last name wasn't Dillon, he wouldn't be a driver. Okay, it is what it is. But I'm just saying, his last name's Dillon. He's sitting in the 3 car. That's the vast majority of the reason why people don't like him. I think he's a decent driver. Do I think he is as good as Tyler Reddick right now? No. But he's solid. He's done his best to improve. I will say this: he hasn't always sat in the best equipment over there at RCR. So I don't know. If he's in a Hendrick car, he probably has 6 or 7 wins at this point in his career, as opposed to the 3 wins that he has. So it is what it is. Man, y'all see the new 124 NASCARs yet? The new package is terrible or trash. I'm waiting for one of my eBay sellers to let me know if they're still shipped in the brown box. If not, I think I'm done. Rich L. So I did see NASCAR Graveyard is a guy I follow on Instagram. That's one of the big diecast things I guess I follow. I saw where he unpackaged his, and that box definitely looks weird. I don't know if I'm in love with that myself. It will be interesting to see if it comes in the brown box still, because otherwise you could definitely see those things getting damaged, and spending that kind of money and watching something getting damaged, definitely not what you want. Gerard Walraven agreeing that Austin Dillon is an embarrassment to the 3. A lot of Austin Dillon fans out here tonight. Red Duck let RC know about 30 minutes before the announcement. Yeah. So 30 minutes before, that's still pushing it. Richard was clearly still in his feelings from that announcement that they released, which also, by the way, I will say this: not the best announcement for RCR to release as a press release either. So fair play from both sides. Kyle Busch should leave NASCAR and not be allowed in the Hall of Fame. Mark Langren, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that one. Obviously, Kyle Busch is polarizing, so a lot of people don't like him. I don't know about kicking him all the way out of NASCAR because of how he acts, though. There have been equally more stubborn people and people that have done far worse things that got to keep racing in NASCAR. So I don't know, but definitely he is 50-50. Either like him or you don't. There's no in between with Kyle Busch for sure. The cars look so dumbed down too, said Rich L. I haven't seen. I kind of, just because I know how, not because I know how, but because I've seen what cameras can do. They can really distort things. I kind of want to get one in my hands before I make a snap judgment on that. But they do not look as accurate as the previous generation did. I will say that. And I wonder if they're doing that to make you buy the elites. Like if there's a different mold for the elites. If so, that is super lame as well. But I wouldn't put it past them. Lionel, they were not as good as Action. It's unfortunate that Action dissolved or whatever, got bought out by whoever. I think road courses are to attract an international audience. Canada is the only other country with a number of ovals. Everywhere else, racing is done in the vast majority of the time on road courses. CPO fast forward. There's a few things I actually want to talk. Good comment, by the way. One thing is I would like to see the NASCAR Cup Series go to Canada at some point. I think Canada deserves a race. That would be a great place to have the All-Star race. And you can go to any of Canada's tracks because they're all pretty well run. And Toronto has a street race for Penalties. So if they really want to keep this idea of doing a street race, Canada would have to be on the radar if the Chicago race falls through, right? You can still do a street race. So the other thing is, I would like to see a Canadian oval. I would like to see NASCAR go to one, and I think that would be just a great show. I think that would be something you could keep on the schedule, and it would bring an international audience. There are a ton of Canadian NASCAR fans, and I'm gonna make a Alex Labay and Pete Shepard video at some point. You guys keep asking me for them. When I get a chance, this has been probably the craziest season ever as far as news goes. When I get a chance, I will cut either a Pete Shepard or Alex Labay video, but I have not had a chance to yet. Alex Labay had a top 10 this weekend, by the way. So I didn't get to mention that, but because I didn't get to see the Xfinity race, but I did get to see the truck race. So good on him. Let's see. Give a race back to Chicago, but it's a street course. NASCAR is going to NASCAR. That's for sure, X dude. Like they definitely should have just gone back. In my opinion, they should have gone back to the racetrack they already had, Chicagoland. And if you really, really want to, you can make Chicagoland a short track. That would be probably the best bet. NASCAR is going to NASCAR. It's a noun and a verb. Howdy from Canuckistan. What's up, Robin Marks? Canuck out there, NASCAR fan as well. Dalton Riley said so true. Benjamin Lewis, Denny picked Kyle Busch to win this week at Michigan. I think that would help everything going on. Well, yeah. If Kyle Busch can start getting some wins, because let's be real, the only win Kyle Busch has is because Chase Briscoe threw the slider on Reddick. I think some winning would definitely help everything in the situation, just morale wise, just everything wise. But yeah, I agree with Denny that would help morale, or I agree with Benjamin Lewis that would definitely help morale. Or if Denny said that, I'm not quite sure because I didn't see the door bumper clear deal. So Gerard Walraven, okay. How about a real take? Austin Cindric has quietly been having a heck of a second half of the season. That is absolutely for sure. And like most rookies, this is kind of what I predicted. They would struggle in the first half of the season, then you would see marked improvement after that. And how about all of the rookies in this road course? They kept their nose clean and they all got, I think, top 10 finishes. So good for them. Definitely the best finish. And that was a really funny thing to me, too. Jeff Burton didn't mention his son getting his best finish of his career, but he still went off on Ross Chastain. I don't know. I thought he really would have been pumping his son up for getting a top 5. That surprised me. But his prerogative, I guess he's trying to look non-biased while also being biased on Ross Chastain. Really didn't get that one, but it is what it is. But good run for Harrison Burton. I'll pump him up if Jeff doesn't want to pump him up on national TV. I was really surprised, man, especially because like even Ned Jarrett always called it right down the middle. Like he even apologized for doing it, but when his son won the Daytona 500, he was up there screaming, shouting, hooting, and hollering. Like he was probably the most buttoned up, call it down the middle type of guy. But when his son did good, man, he got up there and he even apologized for it afterwards. But there was no need to apologize. Like if your child is winning a race or if your child has a good finish, I think as an announcer, you should go for it and just be overly obnoxious. And as an Earnhardt fan, it hurt my feelings. But as I got older, I was like, man, that was a super cool moment. Looking back on it. So there's whoever you're beating is definitely going to be upset about it. But in that moment, it's much better for the rest of the fans if you just go ahead and show that emotion for your kid doing good. So hopefully Jeff Burton doesn't feel like he has to taper that down next time his son has a good run. NASCAR should allow both Ford and Toyota to go to Le Mans. Make sure Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin are the Toyota drivers. Make sure Ford uses Joey Logano, Mark Langren. The only problem with that is the garage 50 whatever entry is a 1-car entry. You can't do multiple cars. What they really should have done is take the NASCAR car with no sponsor affiliation on it and put different drivers from like Ford and Chevrolet and Toyota in there. That would have been the smart move, but I don't think they were even thinking about that. I don't think they're even thinking it was going to be an issue, because I think what they're going to do with that entry is that's going to be the first entry for the hybrid engine. So they're going to test the hybrid engine over 24 hours. I think it's going to be more of an R&D car than it is going to be similar to a Cup car. So I think from that perspective, I understand where you got to fight for that if you're a Ford or Toyota guy. And I know you're going to be like, oh, you're a Kyle Larson fan, you're just simping for Hendrick. I'm not. I'm just saying that car is going to be just different enough that you're not going to get a ton of information on your Cup car. But at the end of the day, the proper way to have done it would be to take the NASCAR car, right? Just the NASCAR car that doesn't have any manufacturer on it, and just race that. That would have been the proper thing to do at the end of the day. So for sure, that's a good point. And then you could have had any of those, any combination of drivers you wanted in it, and nobody would have raised a fuss about it. So, the reason you can't run three cars is because the garage, whatever rule, won't let you run more than one car. I can't wait for the Daytona night race. Going to be the first time I've seen my dad since 2015. Going to get drunk as can be. Skylar F. That's going to be awesome, man. That's going to be super cool. So good luck. Stay safe and have a great time. Daytona is a great track to go to, especially if you want to do that for sure. Old school wrestling fan, Roddy Piper said Robin Morris. Roddy Piper was probably one of my favorite villains of all time. He is the most famous, probably, wrestler that never won the championship belt. So, Roddy Piper, RIP, definitely one of the legends of that sport. How Douglas Serrano, how cool would it be to see Jeffrey Earnhardt full time in Xfinity in the number 3 car? That would be super awesome. And I think if you did that, it would be much like if you put Corey LaJoie in a good ride, you would see something happen. I think Jeffrey Earnhardt has pretty good talent, and I think he can get it done in the Xfinity Series if you give him proper equipment for a full year. Every other year makes the most sense, says Mark Langren, talking about Indianapolis, I think. Let's see. Give Moffitt a competitive ride next year, hashtag from Molten Rage. Come on, Xfinity Cup or Truck Series team, give him a ride. Yeah, so Brett Moffitt has won in just about every series. He was the Cup Series Rookie of the Year in like 2015, 16, 17, somewhere in there. Just hasn't had a real opportunity in Cup, and a lot of his other rides have not been great either after he left GMS, I want to say. My final 4 pick is the 9, the 8, the 22, and the 24. That is Mark Barnum. Let's see. I would go 9. I would go 1. I like the 22 there. I don't know. Tyler Reddick would be a good pick in there, but I could also see Ryan Blaney being in there in that mix. I think Ryan Blaney could get hot at the right time, and I also could see the 11. So I would take out, if I take out anything, but I do like that 8 pick. But if I took out anything, I would take out the 8 and the 24, and maybe see the 11 and the 12 in there. But definitely some combination of those drivers. Those solid picks, Mark Barnum. I like them. And at any point, the 24 car could definitely get hot again too. So, like I said, he started it off hot. He could keep it going. I'd like to see Jeffrey Earnhardt in the 3 car in Cup permanence. That would be cool too. Any Earnhardt going to the 3 car, the t-shirt sales itself would pay for the car. It would pay for your entire season. Who's got money on the number 3? Who's got money for the number 3 car? That's a good question. That's a really good question. Bennett is pretty locked in on Austin Hill, so I could see that being a deal that goes through. I read an article where Roger said that he wants to go the oval 1 year and road course the next year and keep switching it back and forth. Bubba D. Wolf, that would be the man to talk to because he owns the track. So definitely, if he wants to do that, he's got enough swing to make that happen, and that would probably be the coolest thing to do on that, in my opinion. Other than swinging in IRP, but he doesn't own IRP, so I don't think he's super concerned about that one. Delmar Kaufman, you got to know the back roads getting out of Rockingham. That's 100% accurate, but it's still going to be a pain in the butt getting off that one main road that leads all the cars in. That is what Roger suggested, said Mark Langren. Steve Parks' win at Rockingham was awesome, but the track didn't put on a consistently good show, said X-Dude. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, I just 100% agree with that. The Steve Park win was good. A lot of people feel like Bobby Labonte let him win. I don't know about all that. I don't think Bobby Labonte going to let anybody win for any reason. But the Steve Park win was probably the biggest win and the biggest race there. Bring Rockingham back either as an all-star or as a Clash. I agree with that, Mark Langren. That would be the coolest thing to do. And I also feel like North Wilkesboro, that's what you should do with North Wilkesboro as well. And then keep it as a truck and Busch Series race. And then if something opens up, slide North Wilkesboro in there. But I think North Wilkesboro as an all-star race would be such a big deal. It would be a much bigger deal than just giving North Wilkesboro some random race here or there, or North Wilkesboro as the Busch Clash when LA its contract, the LA Coliseum contract runs out. I think that would be really cool. Let's see. Maybe NASCAR is putting in more road courses so that they go electric in the future. An oval EV race would be boring, and builds the road course fan base early. I mean, that could be. They're pushing the road courses for some reason, and I think they've seen that they've added too many. Because somebody high up in NASCAR, I can't remember which one it was, they said, I think we might have added too many road courses. So they get it. They've added too many. So if another track gets swapped in, I would expect to see a road course dropped. Skylar F said spoon-fed as a paid actor. Could be. Let's see. Notorious Bear 48. I don't even like seeing someone else in the 48. I understand that. Like, there's a lot of people that get really attached to a number. And here's the only thing I will say about that, okay? A lot of people didn't want to. I'll just go all the way back to Richard Petty. A lot of people didn't want to see anybody else in that 43 car. Well, after a while, you're going to forget about the 43 car altogether. So it's actually better to run the 43. It's actually better to run the 3, and it's actually better to run the 48 and keep them in the style font that made them famous, because you're a fan of that guy now, but 10, 15 years from now, somebody that never saw Jimmy Johnson run, they will at least still see that number. And if they fall in love with that number, they can do some research on that number. And they'll be like, oh, this Jimmy Johnson guy won 7 races with this number, and it was still styled like this. So it sort of keeps with keeping that number and keeping the history of that number, you sort of keep the mythos of Jimmy Johnson going. Same thing with Richard Petty and the 43. Same thing with Dale Earnhardt and the 3. So, keeping those numbers the same and putting other drivers in them, I don't have a problem with, because ultimately it keeps those drivers that made those numbers famous. It keeps them relevant in a modern era where people have forgotten possibly about them. So I do like running it. That part of it doesn't bother me, but I do know that it does bother some people. So I'm well aware. I know a lot of people hate Austin Dillon being in that 3. I'm super aware of that for sure. And it'll be the same way with the 18 when Kyle Busch. A lot of people feel that way about the 20 at Joe Gibbs. They always see that as a Tony Stewart car, even though he drove the 14 for a championship too, so on and so forth. So it's just a tough situation. If it's not the driver you like, you don't want to see him in there. Let's see. My idea for Iowa is trucks and Indy cars one day and Xfinity and Indy cars on the next day for a doubleheader weekend. That would be cool. And a lot of people want to see Iowa on the racetrack in some way, shape, or form. Mark Barnum said that. So that would definitely be a good idea. And I'm all for Iowa on the schedule too. Have a great day, everyone. I'll finish this up later. Forget to hit that like button that's at the bottom of the line because BB said so. Oh, and that's the bottom line because BB said so. Messed that up. Sorry about that, Donald Camp, but thanks for showing the love there. Iowa garage space is an issue. Well, they can figure something out, I'm sure. Let's see. The prices have gone up as well, BB. Yeah, I've noticed that myself. It stinks, but what can you do about it? Everything's going up. In the current situation we're in. Let's see, 2311 might not exist in 2024. Duke Chronic said, anything is possible, that's for sure. Mark Langren with the what's up or the clap, for sure. Give Brett Moffitt a chance. Teams not removing him, just give him a chance. Teams will help him. Yeah, Brett Moffitt needs a shot for sure. I'd like to see Tony Stewart run NASCAR for just 1 month. That'll scare some people. Yeah, for sure. We're getting a lot of bots in here, apparently. They are being blocked, though, for sure. Scam bots. My dad hated road courses. Drew Chronic, that's for sure. A lot of people do not like road courses. I like road courses, but I know I'm in the minority on that. Let's see. With Indy, it would be too cool. Let's see. I hope Brad Keselowski can get a win at Michigan. If not, there's always next year. That's another good one. Brad Keselowski is always pretty good at Michigan, and Roush makes good horsepower, so you could definitely see. I could see that happening. Also could see Chris Buescher winning there because Chris Buescher's been knocking on the door here. Don't sleep on Chris Buescher. He's one of them guys that could really upset the playoff table if he got in. Let me know down in the comments who you would like to see throw that big upset that could throw that monkey wrench in the playoffs, because that would be another cool thing. I wouldn't race Chicago mainly because of their mayor, Beetlejuice Lightfoot. Joe Bob Tar Heel said, yeah, she's very polarizing, but I am not going to get into that. Let's see. I feel like Kenny Wallace nailed it. Indy Road Course is just flat, no banking. Watkins Glen, Road America, Sonoma just makes sense. I feel like 6 road course races is too much. Yeah, I think four or five is probably enough. Drew Chronic, Raphael Lessard is better than him in trucks. Raphael Lessard's an interesting story because the people that were backing him, the company backing him, had some type of trouble when everybody couldn't leave their house, right? When that went down originally. And so the sponsorship for him got pulled. But I watched him. He raced what are called super late models. Craig races what's called late models. So we would always be able to see those races. And him and Dennis, who was he? I can't remember Dennis Setzer's son. I can't remember his name. Brandon Setzer. Him and Brandon Setzer put on some great shows, and they had a run in one night at Hickory where Raphael Lessard, I forget where he comes from, but they called him the whatever bulldozer from whichever part of Canada he's from. He ran over Setzer, and there was this big hubbub over it, and there was a scuffle in the pits. But Raphael Lessard is a good driver. I would definitely like to see him get another chance, and he was doing really good in trucks before everything went down. Joe Bob Tar Heel talking about the crime rate. That's definitely a concern for a lot of people. Ralph Englehart said, "Bring back Riverside." I would love for him to bring back Riverside, but unfortunately, they've got a shopping mall. Oh, right there, Mark Langren on top of it. Riverside is a shopping mall. I was at the last pro race there, not the best spectator course. Yeah, but it was just a cool course. Like I watch that race all the time on YouTube. Those races all the time. Just a really cool track. It just had a lot of history. You saw a lot of ringers in the 60s and stuff. Not that I was around, but I checked stuff out. I'm a little bit of a historian. It's where you saw a lot of guys like Dan Gurney and Mario Andretti. For a long time, they wore out the Cup Series drivers at Riverside, and it wasn't until Richard Petty got really serious about it. He said, I'm tired of these guys kicking our tail on the road courses. Richard Petty was the first regular Cup Series driver to come in there and say, y'all are not just going to come in here and run roughshod over the Cup Series drivers. So for all the grief that people give Richard Petty about, oh, he's just in the best car, he's overrated and all this other crap, which I obviously disagree with as a Richard Petty fan. You see the stand up right there. Richard Petty, he decided he wanted to be a road course racer, and he came in there and beat him. So that was a big deal back in the day. Not that anybody remembers it because I wasn't even around back then, but I've seen a lot of people talk about that, and I always thought that was a cool moment. Paul, I sure want to see BK in the winner's circle soon. That would be cool. Larson's due for a win. He is due for a win, Drew Chronic. Hopefully he can get one. Hopefully the brakes will stay on the thing. Let's see. That's kind of my thoughts on road courses, Mark L. So a lot of people not huge fans on road courses, think we got too many of them. I would say we have probably one too many at least. Let's see. The Toyotas are behind, and Kyle is just about over the hill. Goodbye, said Mark Langren. You mean make them shopping malls? Road courses should all become shopping malls. I don't care what the racetrack is. I wouldn't wish anything to become a shopping mall. And the worst thing about Riverside is half the land they sold to get developed never got developed because the deal fell through. So even what they wanted to do, it was a mess. Let's see. Jeff Burton has a weird disdain for Chastain. Yeah, he's got a he's definitely got a strong dislike of Ross Chastain. I don't know what triggers him about Ross Chastain, but something does. Dale Jr. said when he sees Jeff go, Dale Jr. said when he sees Jeff go, Dad, he will say it for him. That would be cool. Because I just wish he wouldn't hold back on that. As critical as I've been on him for how he talks about Ross Chastain, I want him to go over the top when his son does good. So I don't think he should mute himself there in any way, shape, or form. Like you said, BB Ross is living rent free in Burton's head. That's a fact, Rich L. I don't know. I don't know what Ross did to him, but he did something to him. He's thinking about him all the time. I like to see Rowdy drive Fords. Joe Bob Tar Heel. Well, that's an option. He's definitely got an offer on the table for either the 10 or possibly the 41, depending on which rumor you believe. Greg Brown said, "You know who I'm pulling for." Epileptic Bumblebee says the hate for Ross Chastain is BS as can be. I've met him, and you cannot find a better person. His aggressive style comes from the fact that he had to claw his way from losing everything, and that is an amazing point. And that is actually something I want to touch on. I'm glad you brought that up because I haven't actually said this on camera yet. But the reason people like Ross Chastain is because he is a blue collar guy. He's a farmer. He comes from a farming family. He is a lot more like regular people than a lot of these other drivers who come from money or have some type of money behind them, or they were born into a racing family. Ross Chastain, he worked a regular job. He was, he's a watermelon farmer. So that is one aspect of him that he sort of gets the Dale and it's a little bit different from this, and I'll explain that too. He gets the Dale Earnhardt pass. A lot of people gave Dale Earnhart a pass. Now, Dale Earnhardt got plenty of booze at the racetrack. Don't get me wrong. Dale Earnhardt got a pass because he was a blue collar guy. He was just like, the working class. So a lot of working class people gave him the benefit of the doubt because when he wrecked somebody, just flat out, let's just say it like it is, because, well, he was our guy. He was a blue collar guy. He was our guy. He wasn't like a paid driver. He resonated with us, and I think to an extent, Ross Chastain is a throwback to that. He resonates. He resonates. He resonates with a large swath of the population who had to work hard, and him driving like that, we understand that because in his mind, even though he is at the Cup level, even though Trackhouse has said this is our guy and we're staying with him, in the back of his mind is, if I do bad this race, they might take my ride away. And that comes from several things. It comes from him having to work his way up. It also comes from the fact that he was signed with DC Solar and Chip Ganassi, and DC Solar turned out to be a fraud company, and that ride got taken away from him. So in the back of Ross Chastain's mind, he's been racing for his life since he started, and I don't know that you will ever get that out of him. So I think he gets a pass for that, and he resonates for a lot of people because a lot of people see themselves like that. Like, a lot of people go to work and they're like, I don't like this job, but I'm going to keep doing it because I need to feed my family, or I need to pay these bills, or I need to do this. And I'm not going to let anything get in my way of doing my job. And they see sort of a similarity in that Ross Chastain is not going to take one lap off. He is going to drive that race car as hard as he can every lap because he is not going to let anyone take this away from him. He wants to achieve his dream. And I think that is just something that a lot of people see in him. So for the people that don't like Ross Chastain, that is why a lot of people like him. That is why a lot of people give him a pass on, wrecking your driver from time to time. And to be fair, most of the time when Ross wrecks somebody, I said most of the time, not every time, most of the time when he wrecks somebody, it is because he overdrives it. Now, there was the AJ Allmendinger case where AJ Allmendinger gave him a bump and Ross gave him twice as hard of a bump back because he said, no, you're not going to get away with that. And one of the Denny Hamlin incidents, Ross Chastain has admitted, was 100% on purpose. So sometimes it is on purpose. But most of the time, it is incidental contact. And that being said, he's just going to get the benefit of the doubt because of the previous things I mentioned. Good comment, Epileptic Bumblebee. I'm glad you brought that up because I needed to. I had not touched on that yet. I'd said it a lot in the comments, but I hadn't said it on camera. So let's see. Okay, Ralph, I love road courses. Road America is a ball to drive, said Mark Langren. Yeah, so that's one thing about road courses that probably doesn't get mentioned. They're super fun if you're driving on them. They might not be the most fun things to watch, but they are so technical and so hard as a driver. I think if everybody drove on a road course, our road courses would be more sort of beloved than they are now. So do you play fantasy NASCAR? I'm a big DraftKings DFS. Would be cool if you touched on some fantasy stuff. Gerard said that. So yeah, I used to do a preview show. It didn't get good ratings, so I stopped doing them. But if you guys would like to see me do maybe a live stream Sunday mornings, I can start doing some of the picks and stuff like that. on a live stream, I wouldn't have a problem doing that. But in video format, it didn't go over as well. So if you want to see me start doing that again, but yeah, I play fantasy, and I used to play DraftKings, but I need to do some things to get some money back in the account. And we'll leave it at that. For entertainment purposes only, of course, would be my picks, as they always are. Bumblebee, I really have no trouble with Ross's driving. He's pulled a few bonehead moves, but other than that, I'm okay with the Watermelon Man. Rich L, he's on board. So I think Ross just resonates with people who are trying to achieve something, and they're not going to let anybody take it away from them. I think Garage 56 is for experimental cars. I couldn't remember the last name. I knew it was 50 something. But with the tight ties between IMSA and the FIA, they could possibly allow 3 cars. There are enough garages. Mark Langer said, well, that would be great. I would love to see that, because that would make the most sense, other than if you just want to run one car, do the non-branded car. But if they could swing a deal where they run 3 cars, that would definitely be the best, because then you could run 3 different drivetrains, possibly. 3 different types of hybrid drivetrains to see which one is the best. So I think so too. Roddy was a great baby face as he was a heel. Bumblebee said that. That's for sure, man. Roddy, he was so good. Like, everybody's like, Stone Cold was the man on the microphone. Roddy Piper was probably the best on the microphone of that era, in my opinion. And he was so good at being a heel. He was so good at being a heel that eventually he kind of did the Stone Cold thing first. He was such a good heel that people started pulling for him, so he couldn't make them pull against him. Even in the middle of like Mr. T, the A-Team. Let's go back in the time machine here. Mr. T with the A-Team and Roddy Piper had a match, and the match was going bad, and everybody was a Mr. T fan because the A-Team was big. But by the end of the match, Roddy Piper had turned the crowd back to him. So definitely really cool. But let me get back to racing, because I know a lot of people don't come here for that. The Roval was definitely a riot. Not saying Indy wasn't, but the 90-degree first turn ruined the race for me. I agree that they need to do something about the first turn there. Even in IndyCar, I don't think it's perfect. Like, they can say what they want to about it. Road America to me is a bit long, but it looks decent, and I love Watkins Glen. That's for sure. Baron von Rathske is going to outlive them all, said Craig Brown. All right. Road America, Mark Langer, Road America is a ball to drive. It's long with a small bore car, but the straights are just right for horsepower cars. I run a 2.8 RSR clone. Okay, nice. Let's see. I want to see a night race at Dover. That would be cool for sure. The 12 is a great choice, but you can't point your way through the chase. I agree with that, Greg Brown. I think he's going to get a win, though. And I think if people would stop wrecking him, he could have had a chance to win this race, because he was the only one that could even keep Tyler Reddick in his zip code. So I don't know. It would have been interesting to see play out in a short run, even though he had older tires, because he said out of his own mouth that older tires didn't matter. But at the end of the day, he didn't get it done, but I think he's got a chance to get it done, especially because he's one of the best plate racers. I could definitely see him being a guy that gets it done at Daytona to get in. Do you think RCR should really consider Jeffrey Earnhardt as a full-time driver in Cup? In Cup, no. Tennessee Smokey, just to be totally honest with you, in Cup, no, because I'd like to see him prove himself in Xfinity first. I'm not a big fan of just putting somebody in a car because they can afford to be in that car. Which is, to go back to the Hailie Deegan thing, she's doing it the right way. Hailie Deegan could be in the Cup Series right now if she wanted to. Point blank, period. End of conversation. She could fund it herself with just the money she gets from her YouTube channel. But she's doing it the right way. She's spending time in the Truck Series, and that's what I would like to see Jeffrey Earnhardt do. Spend a full season in the Xfinity Series, at least one full season before you come to Cup. So that would be my thoughts on it. What I was saying about Jeffrey Earnhardt in the 3 car as a Cup car is, if you put him in it, the T-shirt sales alone would cover the first year, right? Like, you wouldn't even need a sponsor. You would just sell so many number 3 Earnhardt T-shirts that it would fund itself. That's the only point I was making there, which is why they should put him in the Xfinity car. They could fund it that way. But it is what it is. If you want to have a multi-event weekend, do IMSA Friday night, 4-hour, and WEC 6-hour Saturday night. That would be cool. I like those long events. I think it would be really cool, and I could see at some point as a gimmick NASCAR doing a race like that. because I know NASCAR and IMSA are basically the same company, but the rumor, the word on the street, and it's a pretty good word on the street where I heard it from, they are going to fully integrate and merge. So you could see something like that in the future. So keep an eye out for that. Um, let's see, Wilkesboro would be a good playoff race. Oh, that's true too. Wilkesboro is a playoff race. That's my thing with Wilkesboro. Bring it back as a race that matters, because it's a track that so many people wanted back for so long. Wilkesboro essentially at this point becomes a crown jewel race. Wilkesboro would be a crown jewel race, the prestige that it would deserve. So that's the way. That's the way I think you should bring it back. Greg Ryan almost did it. Mark Langren said, great channel. Keep up the good work. Said Paul. I appreciate that, Paul. NASCAR wants a street race. It will be at Cleveland Airport. Oh, man. I don't know that Cleveland is any safer than Chicago, to be totally honest with you. Let's see. Xfinity and IndyCar on a Saturday and a Cup race on Sunday at IndyCar. Yeah, I think any combination of that. Indianapolis is the place to have a doubleheader, and I think they pulled it off pretty well from what I saw. Obviously, I didn't get to see the Xfinity race. Hemrick was pretty fired up in the Xfinity race. Somebody drop it in the comments what Daniel Hemrick was mad about. He was mad about the execution of something, but I did get a chance to read up on that. So let me know what was going on with that. When people speak about an electric car, they forget that if designed properly, a battery change could be done in less than a minute. I hate it, but I agree with making it a similar race to today. Yeah, that's something that people don't really get into just yet. Benjamin Lewis, good point. The first car that I was involved with was it was a school project. It's a little electric go-kart, and we raced it. My first race car that I built or helped build was at Indianapolis Road Course, and it was an electric car. And so what you can do with them is just like your DeWalt or Milwaukee battery charger, you could pop a battery in, pop a battery out, stick the other battery on the charger, and boom, you're gone. You actually would have the battery in and out before they had a chance to change the tires. So that would be a good point. But that being said, here's the deal with electric. Electric is always going to be a different fan base than gasoline engines. There will be some people like me that'll watch anything because I just like racing like that. But for the most part, treat the electric racing series like you would horse racing. It's just a whole different fan base than you would treat the Cup Series over here. And that's probably going to be what NASCAR does. You're just going to attract a different type of fan for the electric racing, and that's just going to be its whole separate thing over here. And NASCAR Cup racing is going to be its whole separate thing over here. And I 100% believe that is how NASCAR is going to handle it. And I think they're already showing you that that's how they're going to handle it. It's just like Formula E and Formula One, totally separate deals, and no way, shape, or form do they really cross over. So I wouldn't get if you don't like electric racing, I wouldn't get too upset about it every time it's brought up. Just to be honest with you. Cleveland will have the same problem, turn one as Indy. Yeah, that's true. Very, very true, BB. I agree. It would be cool. It would be cold to ask what numbers drivers would pick for their car. Yeah, that's true. I am a simp for Iowa, said Charlotte Ander. Iowa that's a big track that a lot of people want to see. No, Formula One does that, and it stinks. Full race replay is on NASCAR channel. JD Mayo said, "Yeah, for sure. I just don't have. I have not had a chance to look at it yet, JD. For sure. I love YouTube because like a day or two after the race, you can check out the full races. That's one great thing that NASCAR does. How's everything going this evening from North Minnesota? What's up, old home guy? Doing good over here. NASCAR guy says I dig the shirt. Yeah, it's one of my favorites too. Big problem with Austin is we see someone hungry in the 3 car. That's not a daggone reality TV show star. Yeah, that's a big problem a lot of people have. They want to see somebody in that car that's just completely dedicated to racing and they don't like anything else. That's a fair point for sure. Because I don't know if you would ever see Dale Earnhardt in any type of. I don't even know if he would have a social media account the way he was wired. It would be interesting to see Dale Earnhardt in the social media age. Anyway, Hy-Vee would have to get in the SE market to make some major changes happen. The Southeast market, Mark Langren, they could definitely do it because I know a lot of people like Kroger, and they were upset when Kroger left, so they could slide in there and get that Kroger market. From my understanding, Hy-Vee is a grocery store, right? And they do have some other stuff in there. So if it's a grocery store, I think that you could slide in because in the South, it's like, or at least the part of the South I live in, it's Piggly Wiggly and Food Line, Harris Teeter, and that's pretty much the main ones you see everywhere. There are a few others, but and we used to have Kroger. My mom was a big Kroger shopper, and then they moved all their stuff back up above Virginia, or I think you can still go to one in Virginia, but I think below Virginia they stopped doing them. They just they turned them all into Harris Teeters. Let's see. There you go. There's your grocery store talk for the day. I only like Sonoma. That's it. JD Mayo. Sonoma's a good track. Watkins Glen. If you ever get a chance to go to Watkins Glen, I think you would change your mind. Watkins Glen live race is an experience, from what I hear. Tennessee Smoky, number 43, Eric Jones. Yeah, I'd love to see him win for sure. Ryan Blaney, I'd love to see him get in there. Harvick, if he wins this weekend, that would really shake the playoffs up. Corey LaJoie, that would be an awesome one. He was so close. We got another super speedway coming up. Can Corey LaJoie get that unfinished business handled? That'll be fun to see. Those are all great picks. Kevin Harvick, I think if Kevin Harvick can get in the playoffs, he could really make some noise. Same thing with Ryan Blaney. And Eric Jones has had a heck of a season, a really underrated season from Eric Jones. He's threatened some wins. He's run some top five. Petty GMS has been very much like 2311. They're either on or they're way off. But the days that he's on, he's really on. And the days he's way off, he at least gets up to usually a top 20 finish. So it'll be fun to see who gets in and out. How would you like NASCAR to race at both Nashville Super Speedway and the fairgrounds? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'd rather them just race at the fairgrounds. I think the Super Speedway, it typically puts on a boring race, but I like Nashville, so I think as many events in Nashville as possible would be awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing Zane Smith in Cup soon. Now that guy, yeah, I agree with you, Rich L. Zane Smith is a wheel man. Young man can wheel a car or a truck. I would love to see him go into RFK. I would too. I think anybody has to be looking at Zane Smith if they got a ride open. That would be a good move for anybody, in my opinion. Hy-Vee is a Kroger company. They are in NASCAR already. Mark Langren. Okay, I didn't know that. There you go. We're learning all kinds of grocery store stuff. 50-plus year NASCAR fan from the West Coast who likes road courses. Back when I was a kid, NASCAR was only on ABC, Wide World of Sports. Was still enough to get me hooked. I said Blake Jenkins. For sure, man. I don't remember that, but I remember people talking about that. That's why that 1979 Daytona 500, the first time they aired the full race, was such a big deal. Because some people in the North were snowed in, and that was the only thing. There was only like 4 channels back then, by the way, just in case you guys didn't know. And that was what a lot of people tuned into because they didn't want to watch nothing else that was on the TV that day. And that's how a lot of people became NASCAR fans. They were snowed in. That race happened, and then there was the fight on the back stretch or whatever after the race, or the front stretch, and that was it. A lot of people were hooked after that. Mark Langren said AJ Foyt, Gurney, and Mario. Yep, those were the guys. Those were the absolute men at Riverside Speedway. And then Richard Petty finally got a win for the Cup regulars. I agree, Rich L. I like Zane Smith. He can drive. Jana Puppy Love said, yeah, Zane Smith is an absolute man in them trucks, and I think he would do the same thing when he comes over to the Cup Series. I'm big on Zane Smith, and I hope he does really good, and I hope somebody picks him up soon. Especially some of those Ford drivers that are struggling. I would take a look at Zane Smith. As good as the 600 was, they need to do away with the Roval. Yeah, I think that's the last road course. Good comment, Mike Haywood. A lot of people feel like that. You're definitely not alone in that, but I would keep the Charlotte Roval because it's one of the few road courses you can see the whole track. So that's my big selling point on that. Let's face it, Indy road course is not good, says Old Home Guy. Run the oval or leave the track completely. A lot of people feel like that. Old Home Guy said that. A lot of people definitely feel like that. I personally would like to see, and as much of a road course guy as I am, I personally would like to see the oval. and the oval doesn't put on any better of a show. Let's just keep it real. They're both not great races. It's not a track that was ever set up for stock cars, and it just doesn't race good. But if I have to pick one or the other, I'd rather see the oval because it's just more prestigious of a win, in my opinion. But the counterpoint to that is a lot of the Indianapolis traditionalists, the Indianapolis purists, they don't want to see stock cars on that track, period. And they really don't want to see stock cars running the oval. So there's all kinds of issues with Indianapolis, and running at IRP wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. But I doubt NASCAR will ever leave Indianapolis because it's such a prestigious track. It has been developed Riverside, but not at the level that it was planned. A number of the companies in LA moved out to Riverside, but they are mostly in Arizona now. Good follow up there, Mark Langren. I remember something fell through about the construction or something. I just remember it never got completely done like they said they were going to do it, which just was a super bummer. And I don't know why I'm so hung up on Riverside. It's just really cool. I guess the history of the track got me because I never saw a race there. It was gone before I was born. Is this still live, or am I watching a replay? I'm still live, Maverick. How do you think Hill does in the 33? Do you think he will do more Cup races this year and next year with RCR? I think he'll definitely do at least 4 or 5 Cup races next year. I think he'll do just enough not to be considered a rookie. But he might also get a full season. So you're not sure. And as far as what I think Hill will do, I think Hill is going to absolutely do phenomenal in his one-off ride. I think he'll do really good. Douglas Serrano chiming in will also tell him Maverick we're still live. Yeah, for sure. Well, there was a USAC stock car race series. These guys were not really ringers back in the day, just stepping in from IndyCar, Mario Foyt, Gurney, etc. Yeah. I guess I called them ringers, but back in the day, the open wheel drivers were considered better drivers, and stock car drivers still, I guess, basically have the same stigma as they do today. Just country bumpkins that don't know anything. So I guess that's what I was thinking of. But the superior drivers were always looked at as open wheel drivers, and for Richard Petty to finally get a win was a big deal back in the day. Is from everything that I've read and been told. I didn't mean to call them ringers. They're definitely not ringers. All 3 of those guys that were just mentioned are world champions in multiple disciplines of motorsport. He's up and coming. Who are we talking about? Zane Smith. Rich L. He's up and coming. Zane Smith, definitely he's an up and comer. He only wrecks Hamlin. I saw in races. LOL, said JD Mayo. Nah, he gets into a lot of people. Just ask throughout the pack. And it's kind of funny if you ever go to the race and you sit in the stands and watch people walking around chatting with each other. Ross Chastain basically just talks to his crew and his team, and he sort of hangs out with Daniel Suarez a little bit. Whereas you'll see some of these other guys, they'll have cliques. Drivers have cliques. He's not in any driver clique. Joey Logano's not either. So there's certain guys. Alex Bowman's actually not either, which is interesting. He's just sort of a quiet guy, I guess. But so some guys click up and some guys don't. But to me, it really doesn't matter because once you get on the racetrack, there's no like Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, and Bubba Wallace are all friends. I've all seen them get mad at each other on the racetrack, flip each other off. So it is what it is. On that racetrack, it doesn't matter who your friend is anyway. Ross brings life to NASCAR for me. William Windex said, that's for sure. So that's probably the most underrated thing about Ross Chastain. No matter what he's doing, no matter if you pull for him or not, as he proved this weekend, taking that crazy access road and that stunt that he pulled, he always makes it entertaining. He's always going for it. For sure. Ross just needs to be a little more careful. The whiners, the Whiners drivers jump on the bandwagon, even though they did earlier in their career. Oh yeah, for sure. Like Denny Hamlin, he ran into a lot of people early in his career too. So and Denny is self-aware enough to say, yeah, I did it too, but I learned, and Ross is going to have to learn too. He said something to that effect. So Denny knows he did the same stuff. He's just being Denny, and part of Denny's deal is he likes to play psychological games with people, I think, in my opinion. And he also likes to keep stuff going on Twitter. So part of Denny is he likes drama. And that's a critique that a lot of people have of Denny. They say he hasn't won a race because he's always so worried about what's going on off the track or whatever. So it is what it is. If you're not down with Ross Chastain, we got 2 words for you: Rubbins Racing. Ralph Englehart. I like that little DX spoof there. Live stream would be cool. Talking about the pre-race. All right, I'll think about it, Rich L. I will this Sunday. I will try to get my stuff organized, and we will try a pre-race setup where I give fantasy picks and stuff like that. And then of course we can also chat about whatever. But I will just do like a little pre-race deal who I'm picking, and then we'll talk about whatever for a little while before the race starts. I wonder if the Biff's been up to. Ralph Englehart said, I'd like to see Castroneves give NASCAR a try. Ralph Englehart, the Biff has been driving SRX, and he also drove Stadium Super Trucks over there with Robbie Gordon. Castroneves, I think, is going to get a shot at the Daytona 500, Notorious Bear 48. And what comes after that, I don't know. Somebody always has to pay the piper. Ghost. Rowdy Roddy Piper reference. They just put out the Austin Hill paint scheme. JD Mayo said, yeah, that Austin Hill paint scheme looks pretty good. That blue and white looks really solid. Bennett Racing. And the cool thing about Bennett Racing is it reminds me of Dennett Racing. And even though I wasn't a huge Ricky Bobby movie fan, Dennett and Bennett Racing is kind of funny to me. NASCAR runs Le Mans. You better see them in the first 12 hours, said Mark Langren. I agree, because I think the thing's going to break as well. I don't think it'll last the full 12 hours, or the full 24 hours. I would actually agree with that. They rarely do. You rarely see the Garage 56 cars last the entire time because they're experimental cars by nature. Jim Cornette was awesome on the mic too. Oh, for sure. He's still got a podcast or something that a lot of people still talk about. Oh, went way too far down. Are you going to Bristol? I'm going to try. Alan Unsailed, what's up, buddy? Let's see. Kyle Petty said it best. NASCAR shouldn't be at Indy, and IndyCar shouldn't be at Daytona. John Lewis. That's a fair statement that a lot of people agree with. But now that NASCAR is there, I don't think they're going anywhere just because it's such a big market. My brother was a pit crew guy in the 60s at Riverside, said Mark Barnum. That's really cool. Indy was designed in approximately 1909. That's true as well. And there's some other cool stuff about Indy that I might get into at another point in time. But it was always designed for open wheel cars, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think any type of stock car raced there until 93 or 94, whenever Jeff Gordon won the first one, and I think Earnhardt got the second one. It's difficult to be a driver and down and critical on yourself. Performances. So I respect Hemrick for putting out that tweet. It shows he's human, and he seems like he made a mistake. Molten Rage said. So that was the Hemrick incident I was talking about earlier. How about NASCAR on the ice? Well, they could go to, where is it, Wisconsin, where they do the ice racing? Probably a lot of places up north, but I know Wisconsin. My cousin was a fueler for the 62 truck at IRP. That's pretty cool. That made me like Ross Chastain more, said Notorious Bear 48. Have you seen the Gurney and Mario race in the Can-Am series in the late 60s? They did their best to beat the McLarens. I have not, but I'll have to check that out. That'll be really cool. Jungle Bob Repair said, "What's up? What's up?" I missed some of you guys' comments because I went down too far, but I'm trying to read as many as I can here. Let's see. Hey, y'all, while you're in here, please like and stream. Consider subbing as well. Oh, yeah. What's up, man? Rich L, I appreciate the shout out there. For sure. I would appreciate that. Bowman has raced at Cletus's track a couple times at least. So is Haley Deegan. I like Cletus. Cletus McFarland. Check out his channel if you haven't seen it yet. It's for sure a really good one. Do you think Kyle's car malfunctioned the other day? I think it probably the brake fluid got too hot and boiled, and that's why it worked after they tested it. But during that time, it did not work, and probably the brake fluid sensor got damaged earlier, and that's why they weren't reading that the brake fluid was getting too hot. Would be my guess, but who knows? And the only reason I say that is because he came over the microphone and said, "I don't have any brakes." So that would make the most logical sense to me. But some other people have suggested he got too hot and passed out. So I don't know. Could be could be anything. It'll be interesting to see Kyle Larson's take on that. None of the drivers like Joey Logano, said Dean Owen. There have been several drivers that the other drivers don't like, and they've all been successful too. So I don't know that it's necessarily a necessity for the other drivers to like you. I think a lot of drivers didn't like Earnhardt, at least at the track, even though he was buddy with him off the track. Rubbin is racing, and to be fair, everybody always goes to Joey Logano's charity things. So off the track, I think he does have some friends, just not at the track. Rubbin is racing is only in NASCAR, where drivers don't have to pay to fix their car, said Mark Langren. Also because they have fenders. I think if you saw Indy cars and they had fenders, I think you would see just as much rubbing. I think the fact that Indy cars and stuff like that, F1 cars, they don't have fenders and you can't get away with it. That's also part of it. I don't think it's I think you put race car drivers are aggressive by nature, and if you give them the option to rub, they're going to rub. The only reason you don't see it in sports car racing is because they'll black flag you for it. If you get overly aggressive, they just officiate it different. Let's see. Old home guy is Cletus's Crown Vic race this weekend. Mark Barnum is asking, NASCAR should enforce track limits like F1. That would definitely help. Dakota Henderson, that's a good point. Like, there's definitely certain points on the track, especially on a restart, that if NASCAR would enforce the track limits, it would clean up a lot of the nonsense. Because that was definitely a low point how that race ended. Just a big pile up. Like that was not a bright shining moment for NASCAR. As exciting as it made the finish and the craziness that Ross Chastain brought to it, it definitely was not a good look. Biff is most likely on his boat in Florida, for sure. He is now because the SRX is over with. MB48, the plan is for Daytona 500 the next year for Helio. Yeah, so he is going to get that. Don Hawk is giving him that shot, and it's probably going to be in the 91 Project 91 car, I would imagine, for Trackhouse. That seems to be almost a done deal. I'm 54. I've been following NASCAR forever. I just accidentally skipped down way too far again. I've been following NASCAR forever. I live in Birmingham. Your channel is good. Thanks, Jungle Bob Repair. I appreciate it, man. You think Mark Martin will get? Do you think Martin Truex will get into the playoffs? I hope he does, but I picked him preseason not to get into the playoffs. It's just a weird feeling I had, and I was looking like a dummy early on in the season, but now it looks like it might play off because I think one more driver is going to win a race that hasn't won a race, and I think it's going to bump Martin out, and Blaney is either going to win a race or be the last driver in. Tell you what will be a shocker, not seeing Happy in the playoffs. I agree with Rich L. Like if Harvick is not one of those guys that gets a win, it's going to be probably the weirdest because I can't even remember the last time Kevin Harvick didn't finish top 10 in points. Or at least had a chance to finish top 10 in points. I can't even remember that. IndyCar tested at Daytona and it was a no-go. Yeah, too much speed for an IndyCar at Daytona. And I don't think they're really built for that type of banking, for that type of distance. Just like the Cup cars are not built for a flat track at that type of distance. Neither one of them are great ideas, but I don't think NASCAR is going to go away from the Brickyard because I think they worked so hard to get that race. You should put one of Cletus's. You should race one of Cletus's Crown Vics. I'd be down. I'd be all about it. Let's see. Bubba had a quiet Xfinity race and blew an engine. Yeah, I did see the Xfinity race. But he definitely had his best finish ever at a road course. That top 5 he got. Daniel Hemrick, yes, I know this has been a bad year, but honestly, he's not been terrible. He's been okay. Yeah, Daniel Hemrick's a good driver. He won the championship. He's another guy that he's got some sponsorship, but if he could get some more, he didn't get the best chance in the world at RCR. But I understand them dropping him because Tyler Reddick is he doesn't come around every day. But at the end of the day, the Tyler Reddick deal didn't work out for RCR either. So it is what it is. If you're a Hemrick fan, you reap what you sow from RCR's perspective there. Regardless of what happened to Larson, it was ballsy for him to throw it sideways and not just T-bone Dillon. He's a really good kid. Section 8 USMC for sure. That definitely could have been a much worse hit for sure. Maverick says, "Hey Burger, do you think Jimmy Johnson gave up on getting that 8th championship?" I don't know that he gave up. I just think he had gotten to the point in his career where if he wanted to try anything else, he had to do it. And I think he wanted to spend more time with his family, and the IndyCar schedule and what he wants to do sports car racing wise was more conducive to him spending more time with his family. So I think that would be the reasons he left. I don't think he necessarily gave up on the 8th title so much as he wanted to spend time with his family. I think he just got to a point in his career where he's like, yeah, I could get the 8th one. I could not get the 8th one. It's not going to make or break me. I've had a great career. And so he just decided to step away. He also stayed tied with Cale Yarborough for like 83 or 84 wins as well. Who's on your Final Four list for the championship? I would go Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, Ryan Blaney if he can get a win. If Ryan Blaney can't get a win, I'd put Joey Logano in that spot. And the last one in, I could see somebody like Tyler Reddick or Denny Hamlin, somebody like that sort of sneaking in there. Those will be sort of my picks for a championship 4. If it were to happen right now, if the if the brake fluid boiled, then they had poor ducting, fan design, or he abuses his brakes, which I haven't seen. Mark Langren said. Or he accidentally, because it can sometimes happen depending on how they got the switches, or he accidentally turned the switch off under caution and didn't turn it back on. There's the brake fan switch. Any of that could happen. I've seen a lot of that stuff. But for sure, something happened, and it wasn't good. I doubt it was designed, but it could be designed because at some point in the race, Chase Elliott was talking about his brakes were fading too. So it could have actually been poor design for Hendrick. I take that back. Appreciate those. Paul was asking for the Final Four and Mark Langren on the brake fluid deal. I forgot to mention you guys' names. Apologize for that. I try to mention the names when I read the comments. If I miss it, I apologize. Old home guy, Cletus, Bristol Cletus race is in a month, I think. I'll check. He's checking on that for us. That will be cool seeing Helio in Cup. I think so too, Rich L. ACO is under the FIA, just like All American Racing, except NASCAR and it's under the FIA. So that'd be cool. Just different organizational bodies that have different regulations is what they're talking about there. Bristol, Cletus race is in a month. Robbie Gordon is having his truck race there too. Oh, that'll be quite a double header. Bristol, that'll be a nice little weekend for the fans in attendance. Greg Brown, I'm a big Helio fan. He'll be fast, just like Al Unser Jr. Nobody will draft with him, possibly. But I think there's some guys that they grew up watching IndyCar and stuff like that. I think there'll be a few people that'll work with him. I think, but hopefully they don't stick him out there and leave him by himself. I would work with him because just everything he jumps in, he's pretty good. He's taken to those SRX cars like a fish to water. I would see JJ and Tony Stewart in this new Cup. I would like to see JJ and Tony Stewart in this new Cup car. Said NASCAR guy. I would too. Hopefully they jump in it for a one-off. Maybe when it comes to North Wilkesboro, you could see both of them do that. Greg Brown, I think TK could race Cup. Tony Kanaan, they're talking about, could race Cup as well. Said Rich L. I'd love to see Tony Kanaan in Cup. He's so aggressive. He would be the first IndyCar driver to really use the bumper. I think like aggressively use the bumper. I like TK. He's pretty funny. As a team owner and the 11, you're supposed to cheer up your driver. I guess they don't do that because they went on Twitter and put out this tweet that's shown he's down on himself. Yeah, I don't know. Denny Hamlin likes to keep something going on Twitter. That's all I'll say about that. I don't know how much of it is real and how much of it is Denny Hamlin just tweaking and playing around. Tyler Reddick could be a dark horse winning the Cup Series. I think so too, Rich L. And personally, I would like to see that happen just because it would make the move to 2311 like just have so much more drama to it. Not gonna lie, I'd like to see that. Just like I'd like to see Kyle Busch go to the 3 car. It would just be fun to see something like that get stirred up. Just from a pure entertainment perspective. Why wouldn't the 11 team? And as an RCR fan, I'd like to see RCR get another title too. Not for nothing. Especially with Reddick since he's leaving. He's really helped the company turn around. So I'm not going to say anything bad about Tyler Reddick. Didn't leave on the best way, but it's his life. He can do what he wants. Much luck to him at Toyota for 2311. Why didn't the 11 team and the team owner tried to cheer up Daniel Hemrick? I don't know. I have no idea. Have to ask Chris Rice about that, Molten Rage. I'd love to see Tony Kanaan at Daytona. Helio could draft with him. Greg Brown said that would be the ultimate tandem draft. They'd probably help. Greg Hall said, "Awesome show, killer show, dude. I appreciate it, Greg Hall." NASCAR All-Star Race should include all winning Cup drivers in previous years, Truck, Xfinity Series champions, and an invite for the previous Indy 500 and IndyCar champion. That would be cool, man. That's a perfect thing to do for an All-Star race. I include the Busch Class in that as well. Paul said, I heard NASCAR had drivers wearing mouth guards to detect force of the crash on the impact of the car. So that I don't know about. I think you're right about the mouth guard, but I do know that in early testing, Cal Tiki, hey, what's up? I do know in early testing that Kevin Harvick raised quite a few concerns about the impact, and Austin Dillon also did. So even before we started racing, there were drivers that had issues with the severity of the impact to the driver when they make a hard contact, specifically with the wall and the nose, which you've seen. I think Parker Kligerman needs a full-time shot with factory backing. I agree. Parker Kligerman, Kaz Gralla, and I don't know, Brett Moffitt. There's several guys. I would love to see get a full backing in some type of ride because I think they would light it up. Hey, I just figured I'll let you know I'm here. What's up, Cameron Moss? Cameron Moss is a Hornets driver at South Boston Speedway, and he's going to be the first driver I sponsor. He has a YouTube channel, so if you want to see him, he's just starting his career. He's just starting the build-up, but he does live stuff from South Boston on his YouTube channel. So if you want to see just some raw cut footage and a little bit of footage about him trying to be a race car driver, check out the channel. Young kid just getting going, so we wish him the best of luck. But I will have a really tiny sticker on the side of his car. We'll get that going for you this weekend, Cameron, if you're able to race. Corey LaJoy wins his first race at Flyaway Duck Club. I'd love to see that, man. I'd love to see him throw that upset in there. That would be great. Telling y'all, I've been a lot of streams over the years. BB's flat out the best one. Is chill and good content. Man, Rich L, I appreciate it, dude. I try my best, and you guys are awesome. The coolest thing about YouTube is it's not just like a TV channel. I get to talk with you guys and interact, and I'm super stoked about it. It makes all the difference. Austin Dillon needs to go to management, and Ty should take over the car. Old home guy said, well, I think as much as people don't want to believe this, I think Austin Dillon's the better driver. And if Austin Dillon goes to management, they both should go to management. But that's just my 2 cents on it. I wish both of them the best, and I wish both of them were still in Cup. But hopefully Ty can land something here. Plus, he'd get Richard that Cup before he leaves. Yeah, that would be awesome, Rich Hill. If Tyler Reddick can win, I think so too. Jungle Bob Repair. I hope the 9 wins the Cup. He's got a good chance, man. Him and Ross Chastain have been the most consistent this year. I think those two is if it was a regular season, that's definitely where the championship would come from. But it's the playoffs, so anything could happen. No, Paul Tracy is the number one for bumping. That is a good point. I can't take anything away from Paul Tracy. I guess what I meant to say there, Mark Langren, is somebody that can win that would also make contact. That's what I was talking about with Tony Kanaan. And that is a light rib at Paul Tracy. I like Paul Tracy too. He's good fun. Josh Freed said that would be incredible. Makes me question colleague why literally one of their teams, especially the driver, is down on himself and basically did nothing to cheer him up. Yeah, I mean that speaks to the team of colleagues. So if you didn't like how they handled that, Moulton, I just wouldn't pull for them. If that's what you're looking for, it definitely doesn't show a lot of team unity. Once again, I didn't see the Xfinity race. I don't know exactly what happened, but yeah, you should stick behind your driver no matter what, especially a championship driver, right? So you know he can get it done. Great show, BB. Have a good night. All right, Paul. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. Always good to see you, buddy. And appreciate you helping me out with the name. I was struggling severely with it. Dale Jr. number 3. Talk about it, Mr. Monk. So Dale Jr. to the number 3. I teased that, but I didn't talk about it. So Dale Jr. is going to race at North Wilkesboro with this paint scheme, but it's going to be on a modern late model car. And Sundrop was one of his first sponsors, but he is running the Cars Tour race on Wednesday night at North Wilkesboro Speedway. The North Wilkesboro Speedway is back open. They are running a race right now. I couldn't make it to it because I couldn't do this there. You wouldn't be able to hear me. But he'll be running this car at North Wilkesboro in 2 weeks on that Wednesday for the Cars Tour race. I will get you hopefully an exact date when I get a chance. But that is what Dale Jr. driving the number 3 car is all about. I don't know if I mentioned that at the beginning of the stream, but that's what it's about. So if you go on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you follow your drivers and stuff at, you'll see a bunch of stuff posted. You can buy T-shirts. They've actually got a diecast that you can buy as well. So if you're into that type of stuff, Dale Jr. is coming back. He's driving the 3 one more time, and it is going to be at North Wilkesboro, and it will be for the Cars Tour late model race on Wednesday nights. You can watch it on, I think, maybe Flow TV or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's on Flow TV. I know for sure you can watch it on Cars Tour TV. So it'll be on Cars Tour TV. Tony Stevens will be on the call. So there you go. And I think Blake McCandless is going to be on the call too, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Rich, you're right. The Burger Man is a savant reading all this chat and keeping up. I'm incapable. Greg Brown, thanks. I don't know if I'm a savant, but I do my best. Is Kurt coming back this weekend? Mike Haywood asked. As far as I know, he's coming back. I think he was listed as the driver on the entry sheet, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. I think as long as he can get cleared, he'll be back. Had a setback, obviously, last week. So those situations like that with head trauma or tricky. So you remember Buckshot Jones, OJ, and Toothpaste. I do remember Buckshot Jones. He was from Burlington, North Carolina. He raced at Ace Speedway. He raced the first time I ever saw him. He was in what's called the All Pro Series, which is just really fancy at that time, fancy touring late model series. And he drove the 00. He drove for Richard Petty in Cup, but he was most remembered for the Busch Series, where he did really good. He was on the Dale Jr. show actually at one point. Dale Jr. download and said he enjoyed it all the way up until he got to Cup. He never really wanted to race Cup. It was just too much. It seemed like too much of a job for him at that point. But Buckshot Jones, you definitely remember that name, and he was a good driver. He just didn't want to. Cup was too serious for him, I think. So he didn't appreciate it. Let's see. Good evening, Jungle Bob. Repair sent me. East Coast Ken said, I'm glad I found this channel and stuck with him. Thanks, Rich L. I appreciate it. Thanks for this. It's been awesome. I appreciate it, Beast. 1624. Hey, it's Michigan, the place where Brad loves putting RCR cars into the wall. So, yeah, that was the origin of the Brad. By the way, Michigan is the origin of the weird, bizarre Brad Keselowski, Austin Dillon thing that spilled over. It was bizarre when it happened. It was even more bizarre when they retaliated 2 years later, and that whole mess, that's what that was about. Dale Jr. Racing, August 31st. Thank you, Mark Barnum. I appreciate it. And Wednesday night, they're doing it on Wednesday night, obviously, because he has to call the Cup race on the weekend. Great stream. Thank you, Notorious Bear 48. If you're up north next year, when we were testing, we could take you for a few laps on the road course. I appreciate it, Mark Langren. I'll take y'all for a few laps on. Let me get behind the wheel. I got my license. Let's do it. Let's see. Thanks, BB. You have done a great job. Good show. Appreciate it, Mr. Monk. Kaltiki said fried bologna sandwiches for everyone. Junior has to be careful after those 20 concussions. That's for sure. I think that's partially why he only runs one race a year in Xfinity, and also he's going to do this spot race here at North Wilkesboro. Hopefully nothing happens. I'm sure it won't. I'm pretty sure everybody will not want to be the late model stock car guy that gets into Dale Jr., except maybe Bobby McCarty. I don't know if you guys remember, he ran down Bobby McCarty pretty bad on a Dale Jr. download show. But I think they're going to make that right when they do the Dale Jr. download live from North Wilkesboro. So look for that also. They're going to do a Dale Jr. download from North Wilkesboro, where they're going to talk to all the Cars Tour guys, I think. I know Brandon Pierce is probably going to be in there. I know Bobby McCarty is probably going to be in there. I'm sure Josh Berry will be on there. It'll be really funny if they can get Josh Berry and Bobby McCarty on the same stage. Maybe talk about some stuff that happened back in the day when they got into it at Ace Speedway, by the way. Let's see. Seriously, what does Brad have against RCR cars? Every time he's next to them, he bumps them. I don't know. It's Brad Keselowski thing. Moulton could be just a Brad Keselowski thing. I became a new sub tonight. Says Bubber D Wolf. Man, I appreciate it, and I think I have reached the end of the comments here. So give it another few minutes here. If you want to get one or two more questions in here, if y'all want to get y'all's last few questions in, I will stick around for a little bit longer. But if I don't see any questions here pop up, we're going to be close to ending it here because we went 2 hours. Wow. All right. Let's see. I took a few laps at Ace Speedway and my Honda Ridgeline. Didn't handle very well. What was the name of that track in Rougemont, North Carolina? Wasn't Ace. The Rougemont, North Carolina track is called Orange County Speedway. Mark Langren, SCCA, or mine, it was SCCA, but it expired, Mark. But I had a SCCA license. I am at some point, this is a little preview for you guys that hung around this long. I am going to build a champ car. They used to call them chump cars. Some people refer to them as lemons. It just depends on the series. The series I'm running in is called champ car. So I do plan on building a champ car. So I will do whatever license that is. That'll be the next one I jump in. But yeah, I'm not ready for an actual SCCA actual race car like that. But I would love to. I'm going to do a champ car or something like that. Leaning toward a Buick and possibly want to throw that old Dick Trickle, Bobby Allison gold and white scheme on it. That's what I'm leaning toward in my mind. But in reality, I'm going to get whatever I can take. I don't care if it's a Kia. But look for that because I'm thinking about it. I haven't committed to it yet, but I'm thinking about building one of those, and that'll be some of the content on the show. It wouldn't be a full build; it would just sort of be a montage. But look for that in the future. And also, at some point, I will break out my limited late model car, probably in September and October. So stay tuned. I will be doing some racing myself this year. Fingers crossed, all things go well. All right, so Molten Rage, maybe he gets triggered by Austin. LOL, I don't know. That's for sure. He might be triggered by Austin. Maybe he's one of the guys that's mad that Austin's in the 3 car. Greg Brown said bingo and thanks. Who do you think will be the next Cup team to sell their team? I don't know, man. How long has Live Fast had theirs? Because Live Fast has been terrible. You'd think at some point Rick Ware is going to have to sell one or both of their charters. If NASCAR sticks to its rule of if you keep finishing in the 30th, you have to sell your charter or something like that. Whatever that weird rule is that they haven't necessarily used yet. Who do you think will be the next Cup team? I just read that one. Chevrolet won a race this year with a Truck Series regular. That's true. That is true, Douglas Serrano. So I think Zane Smith would be a good pickup for sure. Who's your pick for the 42 driver next year? I still think it's Noah Gregson. I feel strong about Noah Gregson. I think that's going to be the fit there. Dick Trickle's parents were funny, said Robin Marks. That's for sure. Lewis Kemp said good night. I got a 924S in SP1 trim, said Mark Langren. So, yeah, I'll definitely ride with you on that one because I have not simulated well with mid-engine cars, even though that's a boxer and it's a little bit different on the weight distribution. And depending on what year it is, those the turbos on the Porsches can be tricky. So I'll definitely ride with you. I'm not going to junk nothing that nice for sure. BB, if my wife ever dumps me, I'll have to cruise down your way and check y'all out. Sounds good, Rich L. I might come up your way at some point. Stay tuned. Planning some road trips here. Just got to get some stuff organized. Please know the cars are so illegal. I hear you. Austin Dillon. I'm just racing next to Brad Keselowski. Oh, wait, no, Brad. So you choose death, Austin. Please let me live, Brad. No, puts Austin Dillon in the wall. LOL. Molten Rage with that. Little fan fiction. Getting a little bit of everything tonight. Grocery stores, wrestling, fan fiction, Austin Dillon talk. Brad put the Hulk slam on Austin Dillon. Road Rage, LOL. Do you think Lane Riggs will get the national title? Said Cameron Moss. He's got a good chance. It's going to be either him, Peyton, or that fella. Gosh, I can't remember his name. He lives in either Minnesota or Wisconsin. Wherever he lives, he races in the other one. But he runs like 46 races a year. I can't think of his name to save my soul right now. But it's going to be one of them three, I would reckon. Cool. Maybe you can get our track up and running again, said Rich L. What track you got, Rich L? I will try to give them a shout out and see if they can get it going. Austin Dillon will be back racing with Bubba in 20th and 28th place. Old home guy said he might be, but I don't know. Bubba Wallace has had some type of career resurgence here. He's had a third, an eighth, and a fifth in his last few races. So I don't know. His car has definitely had speed recently. Austin Dillon actually usually sneaks in a top 10 too. He's just not ever gonna. He's usually not threatening for a win. He's threatening for a top 10. Hold it, 36 charters, and at the outside of the top 30, you have to sell. That sucks, said Mark Langren. That's just a rule they have in there. They haven't enforced it yet. That Riggs guy needs to get more truck starts because, oh my gosh, he's really good. What he did on Friday was legit awesome. Yeah, Lane Riggs is a heck of a race car driver. I'm surprised it took him this long to get in the truck, to be totally real with you. He's won Cars Tour races and competed for Cars Tour titles. Getting beat by guys like Josh Berry and Bobby McCarty, who, if you don't know, Bobby McCarty's a 3-time Cars Tour champion. He gave Josh Berry fits in the Cars Tour. So the people that have beat Lane Riggs for the title are legit race car drivers, and Lane Riggs is obviously a legit race car driver too. And we're always happy for another late model guy to do well. If you let's see. Pikes Peak. Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember we was talking about that. Slipped my mind, Rich. Pikes Peak definitely needs to come back on the schedule. We'll work on it. We'll try to get them back and running. We will make it the Bologna Burger mission to get Pikes Peak back into the conversation, Rich L. We're going to get it going. Josafar and Matty D will win soon. I didn't even attempt his name because I've been messing up so many words tonight. For sure, I think Josafar is going to get a win, and I think Matty D, he's got a good chance. That no front engine rear wheel drive on 170 horsepower street tires will take you for a ride in a 911 or a 3-liter with 935 bodywork, either RA or BIR. Be prepared for 180 plus miles per hour. All that, yeah. I got the opposite of what a lot of people have in a race car. I need to learn to calm down. The speed doesn't necessarily bother me. I got to learn how to back up the corners and stop charging them because I'm way too aggressive according to the guys coaching me on what I should be doing. All right, Di Benedetto can barely beat Deegan. LOL. Well, Deegan's pretty good too, so I don't know. I wouldn't take that as much of a slight. I think she's going to be tough. Pikes Peak International Raceway. Let's do it. Speaking of Carson, as a big fan, he's my favorite truck driver. What was he doing last Friday night? Legit. Right hooking someone into the wall is not good. Yeah, disgusting. I hope he learns. I think he will. I think he got enough flack from that. I think he'll tighten up going forward. Spencer Boyd had an incident too, where his truck caught on fire. Looked like he was wrecking somebody on purpose too. I don't know. That might have been the same incident. Like I said, I was looking at a tiny little phone. I couldn't see everything. Just remember, whatever happens, it's Ross Chastain's fault. That should be a T-shirt too, Beast 1624. I'll get that going with the NASCAR going to NASCAR shirt. Rich L said, cool. And that's it, guys. I think we are to the end of it here. I'm losing my voice a little bit, so I'm going to call it a day. I appreciate you guys. It's been an awesome stream. Thank you all for hanging out, and thanks for all the questions. Really cool, and we'll keep it going. I'll try to remember, and I won't forget, but don't you forget either. On Sunday morning, I'm going to do a preview, and we're going to see how that goes. We'll do a little preview stream, so we'll get that going. But that's all I got for you on this one. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for your time. Peace.